From BBC Radio Scotland, this is Sports Sound.
Don't be stupid, boys. Turn off Clyde, support your side.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, still scratching around in the same old hole. My body feels young, but my mind is very old. So what do you say? You can't give me the dreams that are mine anyway.
Good day, good evening, good afternoon or good morning wherever you are in the world. You're listening to the Half the World Away Celtic podcast from Hail Hail Media. My name's Kevin O'Neill and I'm based in Mandurah in Western Australia, originally from Coatbrig. And as always, I'm joined all the way over on the other side of Australia in Melbourne, Victoria, by my good friend and still the housewife's favourite, Mr. Patrick Close, originally from Airdrie. G-Day, Pat.
G-Day, Kev. I was actually thinking, are you going to be that guy? Like, you remember back in the olden days, the guy used to do the microphone gag. It was the only good thing he could do, where he'd speak through the microphone. You go, was it Norman someone? Yeah.
Norman Collier, I think was his name.
Well done. Anyway.
I think that was his name.
Sorry, Kev's having a few technical issues tonight, so we might end up a bit of that. So.
Yes, there might be, but we'll try our best. I was singing the praises with Liam earlier on about the Microsoft Surface, but it's starting to annoy me a little bit now. But anyway, G-Day, Pat, G-Day to Kevin. You. And as you can probably tell, just mentioned his name there, all the way up in good old Osaka of Japan. We've also joined by Mr. Liam Carrigan. G-Day, Liam.
G-Day, boys, how we doing?
Very good. How are you going, Liam?
Aye, pretty good. It is very, very hot up here right now.
What's your Osaka temps today, mate? In summer up there?
Well, let me put it this way. It's just coming on 10:15 at night here, and it is still sitting at 29 degrees.
It's beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Are you in a nice air-conditioned apartment?
Yep. Air conditioning on. Sitting back with a cold drink in my hand and ready to do the show.
Beautiful. Alcoholic or just soft?
Actually, not being a good boy. It's the Cola Zero tonight. So.
Oh. Have you seen Coke do Coke no sugar now instead of Coke? Well, they still do Coke Zero, but they do this Coke no sugar nonsense.
Up here it's called Cola Plus. It basically tastes the same as regular cola, but it's got no sugar in it apparently.
So they say.
Well, you see, Kev, the supermarkets here refused to stock it. Because it was, they said there were too many variations of Coke.
And I think there are. I agree with that. There's far too many. But, they do. I've seen it. I don't know if I've seen it in the shop, but at the little, like, lunchtime places you go and get something, they do the Coke No Zeros and stuff like that as well. Coke No Zero, Coke No Zero, Coke No Sugar, Coke Zero, Diet Coke, regular Coke, Coke with vanilla. Load of pish, man. The only one I don't buy out of them all is the original Coca-Cola. Too sugary, boys. Too sugary.
Aye, too sweet. Can drink it?
Kev, boys, some good news, some great news.
Yes.
I've just gone on to Spreaker page,
Mm,
and there's no one listening.
that's fine.
Oh, wonderful.
We didn't exactly promote it. We've just popped up from nowhere, out of the blue.
Six listens, 6 plays. We've got 6 people now. So in the past,
Well,
Yay.
that's
we've got 6
That's
people
us
say.
3. That's us 3. Make yourself known.
Yep.
Say
My
something in the chat room.
Yeah, my brothers,
I'm gonna-
and, yeah, my cousins. That's it. So technically, no one's
Bear
listening.
in mind,
anymore.
one of them was me making sure the link was working.
And one of them's me
One
right
of them
now.
might be me if I can actually try and get into Spreaker through my pishy Microsoft Surface. Which I
Pishy.
enjoy.
Yeah,
You know
fishy
what? I've
surface.
not
But
been,
you were talking about
I've been
before.
on
saying
it
it's
for
the- you were saying
I
before
was
it's the best
saying-
thing ever.
I was loving it. Well, I was really. It's not a Surface Pro or anything. It's an old Surface because I thought, why do I need the fancy one? I'll just go for the old bog standard. But now I can see why I maybe do need the fancy one. But anyway, this will not hinder us, boys, until my sound goes again, or microphone or whatever. We're back after a 3-month absence. A lot has happened since we've become 6 in a row champions, invincitrebles, all the rest of it. Great days have been had, great times have been had, and we now come into the dawn of a new season, and all of a sudden we seem to be we're going through a little bit of an uneasy, bumpy spell over the last couple of weeks, lads. Now, we'll come on to the whole Green Brigade thing. We're going to speak a bit about the Green Brigade thing. I don't know who else has covered this in pods because I've not been listening to any other pods because I've been a bit busy recently. There's been plenty said in social media about it, but we'll start off by talking about the Rosenborg game the other night. If you were lucky enough to see it, I'll come on to that myself in a minute. But
He's gone.
Oh, stay away. All right.
Yeah, that's
Just like Celtic TV, he's gone in a shot.
Yeah, that surface he's got is working really well. Anyway, we've got a couple of people already in the chat room. So Danny Reynolds, thanks all the way in Mexico. He's listening.
Oh,
He's
nice.
off to with Dolphins a bit later. Here he comes. I get Michael as
Here he
well.
comes.
G'day boys. So
I think I'm
are you
back,
back, Kevin?
guys.
Yeah,
I
well
think-
done.
Yeah, you're back.
Where did I leave you?
Just as
Yeah,
you
I
were
think it
saying about how pish Celtic TV was, you cut out just like Celtic TV.
It's your internet connection. It's nothing to do with Celtic TV.
No, it's not the internet connection because I'm still connected. It's just these bloody headphones. I think I'll switch over. I'll work some magic shortly. But what I was basically saying, Rosenborg game the other night. So I couldn't see it on Celtic TV because of their pish service, but we'll talk about that later. So I want to speak to somebody who did actually watch the game, and Liam, you set your alarm up in Osaka to go up and actually did manage to log into Celtic TV to watch the game. But what was your thoughts on it?
Poor game. Poor game to Celtic's point of view, but I've got to say, credit to Rosenborg. They'd obviously done their homework, and they set out basically to stop Celtic, and they did. And they got pretty close to stealing the game themselves. Thing about these Norwegian teams, I mean, Rosenborg are the best of them, but the Norwegian teams in particular, they if you look at European football over the last few years, your Norwegian teams, your Danish teams, your Swedish teams, they tend to punch a bit above their weight because they study the game. They always look at their opponents, look for weaknesses and try to exploit them. And Rosenborg did that very well on Wednesday night, and they deserve credit for that. But we were well short of what we should have been. I mean, all right, no recognised strikers, but that isn't an excuse, quite frankly. It's not an excuse.
I was talking to my old man earlier tonight who was at the game, and again, after I had a rant with him about Celtic TV, because that's why I couldn't see the game. What he did say was, if we cast our mind back to that Hearts game at the tail end of the last game of the season against Hearts, we played without the two strikers again in that game, and goals were not a problem for us in that game. Now, whether that's because the whole momentum of the occasion and the day was getting into, at the fore of everybody's minds, and there was momentum getting into it, whereas we're still coming out of just pre-season, I guess. That might be a bit of a factor. But we played without recognised strikers in that particular game. We bagged 5 goals against them, so I could kind of see why it shouldn't have been an issue the other night. It's very easy when we don't score goals that everybody points to the fact we didn't have a recognised striker playing, but I thought it was a bit of a strange decision to move Tommy Rogic. And again, I didn't see the game, so I'm only going what I've read and what I've seen and what others have said. I believe Tom Rogic was playing up front, but why take a player that's far better in a different position? Why put him into an unnatural position for him when you've got, I don't know, you've still got strikers in the development team or in the reserves who are used to playing as a striker's role. You put them on the park and then you're not disrupting the team as much. I mean, Pat, did you tune into the game as well? What was your take on it and what Liam said? You agree with Liam?
I watched on Celtic TV on a Dodgy. It was perfect, and then it was perfect. No issues at all, okay, but sorry about your little your lack of viewing, I guess, where you were. The Tom Rogic thing was either going to be an absolute masterstroke or it was going to fall completely flat in its face. I think it's pretty obvious which way it went. So, but I think there was it wasn't just him. There was a whole number of players that really underperformed. You know, you're talking anyone. I thought James Forrest was fairly flat. You know, one of the biggest ones for me was Armstrong. I'm not sure actually even it's on the agenda to talk about tonight, but Armstrong for me, I remember chatting to someone this time last year. In fact, it might have been just after he even signed. And I'll be honest with you, my gut feel, even when he signed, was that he didn't really want to play for us. I think it was the fact that we came in at the right time for him. There was no other big offers for him. United wanted to sell. He wanted to move. And I think if anyone else had come in with any sort of reasonable bid for him, he would have went there. I know it sounds really kind of bad, and it's maybe the fact that he's at this stage now, but I'm just not totally convinced he actually wants to play for us. And I think I was paying particular interest to him during the game to see how he responded. You know, he didn't play in the game before. Cham kind of played in his spot, but and I was interested to see how he kind of reacted to it, and I don't think he really reacted that well. I thought he wasn't doing the same sort of lung bursting runs. He wasn't sort of, you know, putting himself about that much. And I don't want to be super negative about it, but I think it was a performance of somebody who looks as if he's not that interested at the moment. So that might be because he's, you know, the contract negotiations and he's a bit pissed off with someone, or he's looking for more money and he's not getting it. It could be for a number of things, but I thought he was fairly disappointing.
And very strange as well if that is the circumstances, because you'd think if any time you're trying to impress as many people as you can. Last season, I mean, to look at him last season, he didn't look like a player that wasn't enjoying himself.
No.
You know, he was doing great. I think you're probably right. The whole whatever his name is or how you pronounce it, Cham, when he's come in, they've also spent $4.5 million on him, and but I still think you've got to earn the right to get into a team. And by all accounts, he didn't have a fantastic game the other night either. Maybe he is a bit pissed off about that whole thing. But yeah, he maybe is move away.
It's probably just me. Look, I did sort of make a point of kind of watching him, and even wasn't tracking back quite as much as he would have done. Maybe he's just not fit yet. Maybe he's still kind of.
Was he playing his kind of normal? What kind of position was he playing? Was he playing his normal kind of just behind the front two kind of role thing?
Oh, I'd say he's maybe potentially a wee bit wider. But yeah, I couldn't really kind of make comment on that. But yeah, maybe a little bit wider. The guy's name, he was on. Was on one of the podcasts. It was on the BBC Scotland one, I think it was, and they asked him in an interview how you pronounce his name, and he pretty much said it can be one or two things. It can either be Cham or
Cham.
Yep. Yeah. So Cham just sounds easier to me. So anyway, that's
Cham, chopped pork and ham.
So everyone though, I'm talking. It was hard to pick a good performance in the whole game. I thought Lustig was okay. I thought Brown played his normal way. He was up and down the park and doing the normal thing. Sinclair I thought was really flat. Forrest, I don't know, it was kind of flat to deceive sometimes. Rogic was just.
I also heard he was shite. Young James A. Forrest was one of the.
Wasn't his best? Hayes was good when he came on. I thought Hayes made a bit of a difference. I think I wouldn't be surprised. I'd probably say he would probably start over there. I know you normally go with the players you can kind of trust, but he looked pretty. Even Tierney. Tierney was pretty flat as well. I thought. Tierney was trying. You could at least tell, but there was nothing. Just nothing was coming off for him. I think. I reckon if for Tierney to shine, I reckon you need Sinclair performing as well, because then you down sort of either side of the park, you can get those kind of overlapping runs and whatever. But everything he tried, nothing seemed to come off for him. So, I mean, let's face it, probably the three best chances of the game went to Rosenborg as well. That's kind of the worry. But you'd like to hope we get one of those kind of one of the forwards. Obviously, it's not going to be Dembele. You'd like to hope you get sort of even it doesn't have to be Griffiths, it's even just some sort of better structure. Whether it's one of the younger guys coming in a kind of forward position, or I don't know whether it's you need something a bit more attack. Maybe McGregor. I wouldn't say I'm McGregor's biggest fan, but maybe something a bit more attacking from someone like him. It's hard to say, but just nothing clicked. There was no, they had the odd sort of cross into the box, but it was pretty much pointless. There was no one in there to actually attack it and get in the end of it. So
a very unfamiliar looking performance. But I think, as Liam said as well, there's got to be some credit given to Rosenborg.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
for the way they set themselves out.
They didn't. You'd have thought it was, basically a whole team parked on their 18-yard box, but it wasn't. They got forward when they had to. They played smart. They played smart European football. The sort of thing we'd be doing going away if we had any sort of lead. We'd be, sitting back deep whenever the time comes. But when the ball's out to be won, you either have somebody up front who's going to hold it up for you, or you break super quick. And that's where they had that Bentner up front, and caused a few problems.
Is that Bentner as in former Arsenal Nicholas Bentner?
Aye, that is, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Who was okay. I mean, he had a really good chance if he'd taken a strike on his left foot first time, but he's decided to cut back in again, and he got a shot on target, but it was pretty tame effort. But I wouldn't say he was. That's kind of the saving grace, that they created chances, but they weren't out and out blatant. They weren't all over us, if you know what I mean. Depends what happens when we hit. We go to their sort of dung heap, I guess, to see how they approach it. Are they going to come out
their
and
dung
attack
heap?
Was it someone said on the radio? Oh, when they go to Rosenborg, Celtic have to play better. I don't actually think there's a place called Rosenborg, but anyway. Is it Trondheim? Is that where they're from?
Trondheim they play.
Trondheim, yeah.
But apparently
dancing in the streets of Rosenborg.
That's it. Yeah.
The Lerkendal Stadium is what it's called.
That's the one.
And how do I know that? Because up my wall right now, I've got a Rosenborg scarf that I've got when we played them back in 2003.
Oh, man. Rosenborg of Harold Bratback fame.
Yes.
Aye.
Yep. Who would have thunk it? But anyway, so it depends if they try and come out. Effectively, if we can get
They've got to, really, haven't they? It's a home tie. They know they need to score if they're going to get through. I mean, the only saving grace that came out of that game after the dust has settled is we didn't concede an away goal. So if we manage to summons up a goal from somewhere over there, we know they need to score 2 goals. At least. So I mean, I think they'll be getting into that game thinking they need to score more than 1 goal over there. So that could create gaps, but a lot of it's going to depend on our attitude. Again, they're about halfway through their own season, so they're into the rhythm of games. We are still getting up to speed. We'll have another practice match. Can't hear me again.
Here we go. Here he goes.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I think we could hear you all the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, lads. No, there's we've got another kind of practice match, I guess, happening against Sunderland tomorrow, but it's very doubtful we'll see a lot of the players that will feature, you would think, Wednesday night. I don't know. Maybe they'll throw on one of the younger strikers to see give them a bit of a run out to maybe see if they could merit a place in the team to face Rosenborg as well. But I think they know they know they need to score. The way I see it panning out is Christopher Ajer might feature prominently again. I do believe he was given the Stadium Man of the Match, although it might have been difficult to pick one out the other night. But you can see this setting up for him. He's either going to be, the Norwegian boy that comes home and he thwarts Rosenborg's progress, or he's going to be the weak link in the team, and could throw it away and be the hero of Norwegian football sort of thing. I think that's all set up the way it's going to go, because I don't believe the guy or our defence was tested that much the other night. I think they created a couple of chances, but I don't know. I think it's all set up for Ajer to play some kind of prominent part in this game against Rosenborg.
I did see a couple of snippets about his positioning and stuff like that, about whether he was kind of, whether he kind of cruised through it, or whether his positioning could have been better in some situations. But he was put under a bit of pressure a couple of times, but he got himself out of it, pretty much okay. So, as you said, I think a lot of it comes down to your attitude. It comes down to that, whether we can get that pressure up again, because that sort of intense, in your face kind of, hunting in packs kind of play that we've been doing, did last season, pretty much most of it. That was just, it wasn't anywhere to be seen. That hardly ever happened for the whole game. It was just slow.
So strange.
As bad as it sounds, thinking about it, it was back to Ronny Deila days, playing the ball across and then back across again and back across again, and there was no real penetration. But you'd like to have thought that one, like a striker missing in that would not have caused that amount of impact on your style of play. But as I said, it wasn't just, I don't think, the missing a striker. I think the whole intensity of the team, and I said that hunting in packs that we did last year, just wasn't there. The players were having little niggles at each other and having a weak complaint at each other and whatever, all that sort of stuff, and it was just flat, and it's hard. You can kind of understand it. It's pre-season for us, and you kind of get it. But at the same time, they've had a fair.
It was pre-season last season as well, right enough, and we managed to sort things very quickly after the Red Imp debacle.
Yep. So I don't know. It's. I was thinking today, like, who would? I'll put it out to you guys. Who would you, if assuming Griffiths doesn't play, and you had to play a striker, who would you put up front then? Who would you actually stick up there?
I'll handball that one first of all to Liam.
Oh, that's a tricky one.
I'll give you my thoughts then. My thoughts would be the only one that could really play, if you're going to play on the last man, the only one I think would be one or two. My first choice would probably be Sinclair, because he's got the smarts, so he can actually sit on the last man and whatever. He's not the natural sort of centre forward, but he's got the smarts for it. He's certainly got the pace. He's got the touch for it. So if not him, then do you take a punt on somebody like Johnny Hayes in there, who is he's going to give you 100% for the whole game. He knows where the goal is. You know what I mean? So or do you put something like that? So that's kind of my two thoughts. I don't think Forrest could do it.
No.
There wasn't really. I don't think Armstrong. The Rogic thing just did not work at all. Whether they can somehow pull that one off, I don't know. But Sinclair and Hayes are the only two I could think of you could actually put up there and potentially get something out of.
Liam, what's your thoughts on that sole striker position? Because let's face it, will be a sole striker over there.
I would have said Sinclair, but the other night it didn't really work. And Hayes was good when he came on. But I think I'll still go with Sinclair. I just think overall he's a better player. And he's more likely to pull something out. Sinclair's the kind of guy who can be crap for 85 minutes, then score a hat-trick in the last 5, So I would say that he'd be the one I would go with.
See, I'm thinking differently completely, guys, because I wasn't, as soon as I heard that Tom Rogic might be playing up front, I thought, well, straight away you're weakening the team in two positions there. You're weakening the team in the position that he's so good in, because you're not playing him there, and you're playing him in a position he's unfamiliar with. You're asking a lot of him to adapt to it. So I was not a fan of that, and that's the same reason why I wouldn't be a fan of playing either Sinclair or Hayes in those positions, because I just don't think it's a natural position. I would much rather that you play your strongest players in their strongest positions, and you bring in somebody like, I'll just throw the name out, Jack Aitchison, because I'm not too sure I won't even mention Nadir Chifchi, because I know he's in the background there somewhere. I'm sure I saw him in a training session the other day, but
I don't think he's part of the European squad, though. I'm pretty sure he wasn't named in the European squad. I could be wrong on that, but that was, I'm sure I read that somewhere.
Oh, here he comes.
I've plug in again, boys. So this is going to be a theme throughout this, but I'm keeping my eye on the microphone. But no, so Liam, sorry, did you say Chifchi isn't a member of the squad, or Aitchison, or both of them?
I think Chifchi wasn't named in the European squad. I'm not completely sure about that, but I'm sure I remember reading that somewhere.
I guess
it was part of the whole narrative of him being told to find another team, you know.
All right, okay. Well, I guess my theme is I'd rather play a striker in a striker's position. I honestly don't care who it is right now. But I think if you've got, let's play Sinclair in his strongest position. Let's play, I think, by the sounds of things, Jamesy Forrest hasn't done himself any favours the other night. So this is maybe the time where Johnny Hayes deserves to start a game instead of being brought on as a sub to replace James Forrest. So let's play him out on the right. But let's please just play a striker in a striker's role. Put Tommy Rogic where he's most effective and he's most dangerous. Try not to upset the balance of the team too much. We've already got, a defence that's also a bit unfamiliar and playing together. Ayer is going to have to be helped through that game, talked through that game. I believe he did have a great season with Kelly when he went on loan to them last season. But he'll be coming up against cuter opposition on a quite hostile ground against Rosenborg. So let's not upset things too much in the team. Play a Jack Aitchison if we can, or whoever the other striker or strikers are that we've nominated in our European squad. And just let's not try and upset things too much. I think the other thing, just to kind of move on a little bit from that, but I just get the feeling, guys, there's been quite a bit of self-inflicted. I don't know is damage the right word, but there's been a lot of kind of negative feeling around Celtic just these last couple of weeks. Fans fighting amongst themselves verbally on social media about the whole Green Brigade issue, but also we're seeing some attacks at Brendan Rodgers and the board because Dembele's was missing from that game the other night. It's very easy to point fingers after you get a result like we did the other night as well and say, how can you play a game with no strikers and expect to score goals, all this kind of stuff. It's very easy to say it in hindsight, but before we came on air, I think I'd said that the final game of last season, we managed to score 5 goals without a recognised striker as such. So there's just this kind of negative kind of feeling happening amongst the support just now. And I know, Pat, you always like to keep things positive. You said that before we came on here as well. But do you think part of the reason why the players weren't up for it sounds as if they weren't up for it the other night, is, I guess, part of it is it's still very early in the season. We're still kind of coming out of that pre-season thing. There has been a bit of disruption with injuries to the defence. The Lee Griffiths European ban thing, the nonsense that happened over in Belfast for the Linfield game, Lee Griffiths picking up a booking for supposedly time wasting for pointing out the fact he's had a half bottle of Buckfast thrown at him. the tying the flag, the Lee Griffiths ban, the Dembele injury. But added to all that whole front section of the Green Brigade section empty the other night, to me, there just seems to be a whole raft of contributing factors as to why we were so flat, or apparently flat, the other night. Is all of this getting too much for the players? I know they always say, you know, these things happen, it doesn't affect them, but is there any way at all this kind of because to me, the way I'm calling it right now is I do see it as being a lot of negativity, which is ridiculous to say after the season we've just had. But is all this negativity maybe influenced or impacted players the other night, Liam?
Psychologically, of course, it's going to impact them. You know, the whole point of an invincible team is they have to believe that they're invincible. And, you know, all this arguing amongst the fans and all this, you know, players being suspended and, you know, vulnerabilities, basically. We're showing vulnerabilities. Now, they're not necessarily vulnerabilities on the park, but it's vulnerabilities in us as a club. And it shouldn't affect the players, but the reality is it does. If you need to have a positive atmosphere to play positively. And there is not the positive atmosphere that there should be there right now. I mean, Brendan Rodgers will do a great job of firing up the team, right? He will motivate them, he'll get them believing that they can win. But it's like, how can I put it? See if, like, for example, if you go to a party, right, and you're having a good time, maybe you're chatting to a nice-looking bird or whatever, you're having a good time. But around you, a fight breaks out.
Long time since that's ever happened.
But then maybe like across the room for you, a fight breaks out, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to enjoy that party, are you?
Yeah,
you know?
Good point. Yep.
So, but the same token, even if the team are playing well, which they weren't, but even if they were, that negativity in the stadium and that quite visible sort of scar of the Green Brigade no being there is going to unsettle you, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a fair shout. Pat, what's your take on it with those other influencing factors against our cause? Well, whether they were causal factors or not for the performance the other night, I would hate to think they were, but because they're professional footballers, they've got to kind of rise above anything that's going on in the background. But has it had any kind of influence or impact on that performance the other night, you think? The stuff that's happening off the park?
I'd like to hope not. As you said, they are professional football players, and if anything, the player that comes in, or any of the players that come in place of Lee Griffiths or Dembele or whoever's suspended or not playing, you'd like to think they are more motivated to put a performance in so that they stay in for the next game. I mean, it was certainly. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm watching on a laptop at 5 o'clock in the morning, with the kids in bed and stuff like that, so it's not exactly up full blast, but it certainly seemed, well, from an atmosphere perspective, flat compared to normal. It certainly appeared, and what I could hear is that the fans were getting the players back a fair bit. And quickly as well. There wasn't that kind of same support. That's what kind of the Green Brigade can kind of drag you through. They can kind of drag you through that time where,
good point.
When people are on your back, you've still got that kind of, in the sort of noise in the background. It's which is 99%
support,
supportive and constructive. So I don't doubt that would happen. But like, it's not as if there was a massive away crowd there. So there'd been 55,000 Celtic fans there. There wouldn't really be a feeling of negativity, and there might be a bit. I don't know. Like it can get that way where when you get the fans kind of on your back a little bit, that the players kind of go into the shell a little bit, maybe as well. So in a roundabout way, playing away from home might be a bit easier in those kind of circumstances, but.
And they're maybe just not used to it, Pat. After the season we've just come out of, the players are maybe just not used to hearing a bit of negativity from the stands.
Yeah, and that's it. It's been a long time, and you think of all the way through last year, even going through the Champions League stuff, the stuff at home anyway. Even then it was still fairly constructive coming out of it. I mean, the Mönchengladbach game was a bit of a fizzer. I think we all kind of had high expectations for that one, but the other ones we kind of, came out relatively positive about, So you're right, maybe it's that they're hearing that negativity and that getting on their backs for the first time in a while, but it was just the odd stray pass, and I think Brown did one out to Lustig at one point, and the fans were kind of on his back at that stage, and You know, I guess it would impact him a little bit, but you'd like to think not. You know, so the professional football players, they knew the challenge they had in front of them. They knew what they had to do. I just think the tactics, it's one of those kind of first mistakes that, you know, Rodgers has made. Really, that's what, to me, it was mostly about. So the fact that you know, the Rodgick experiment up front just didn't work, and there was no way of quickly fixing it. It's not as if you can make a quick tactical change, and because they didn't really have anyone else that could, or, you know, was willing or able to play up in that position. So it just needs a bit of a rethink. That's all. Get a bit more structure in the team and go out. But again, next week, I think even Rodgers came out and said during the week about, you know, we score more goals away from home than we do at home, so we don't fear going over there. And that's a fair call. But at the same time, you need to be. They didn't really create clear-cut chances. You know, you were kind of hoping for a deflection here or there, or a set piece. You know, and even at the set piece, you know, the Ayers
can't rely on that.
Ayers like flipping 7 foot tall. You'd like to. You know, I think he got one header. I think it went over the bar from what I remember. So, we can't really rely on it. There's not really, you know, got a couple of tall defenders, but I don't know. It's one of those ones you just hope you can sneak something. But that's why I was saying earlier, maybe someone like McGregor coming through. I'm not his biggest fan, I'll be honest with you, but he's a fairly offensive kind of player. He did not do too much wrong last season. Yeah, and we didn't really have that offensive kind of, you know, I don't know. It's just it's difficult to say, but once they get that structure back, that's half the battle, I think. If you don't have a forward up there who's, you know, on the last line or playing in the, you know, the last defender's kind of shoulder or whatever, then you're always going to struggle against it. They can put as many balls into the box as they want. If there's no one in there to actually get in the end of it, it's fruitless.
No, it's thankfully it's not up to us to come up with the answers in time for the Rosenborg game in Norway, but it certainly will be up to Brendan to come up with the answers, and hopefully we see some kind of changes. And we go through again. The only saving grace is, I think it was 0-0 after that first leg. There was no away goal conceded, so if we can manage to summons up a goal from somewhere, the onus is on them to score at least 2 anyway. So we're still in a reasonable position, but it could have been a lot stronger after the other night.
Yep.
Guys, before we move on as well, and this is where my headphone will probably cut out, because now I think there might be Celtic things afoot here, and this is why I'm actually getting cut out here.
There he goes. He's done
right. And he's away, right on cue. Right on cue. Right.
Guys, that is unbelievable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Hear me now? So there you go. I was just about to have the rant. I even called it that the microphone was going to cut out, and sure enough, it did.
Peter Law.
I'm back in business again. It's Peter Law. Peter Law.
He's influencing
the sharpshooter man.
These days. Yeah.
So Celtic TV. So my story the other night. Now again, I chose, as is my want, as a subscriber of Celtic TV in this day and age, that when it's a 2:45 a.m. kickoff, I'm not going to get myself up out of beddy bye-byes, boot up laptops and all this. I'm going to watch it on my phone, because we're living in the 21st century. So sets the alarm for 2:45, roughly about the same time as I think you said you logged in a bit earlier, Liam, with no problems at all in good old Osaka, Japan. Mm-hmm. I set the alarm for 2:40, picks up the phone, sticks in the headset, goes on to Celtic TV website, and could not even get to the homepage. Now, this is 2 games in a row we've had this season. The same thing happened with the last Linfield game. I missed the first half hour of the Linfield game, and the only way I got to see the Linfield game after that was because somebody had tweeted a link that Celtic TV had sent out to one of the subscribers to allow access. So I managed to get the Linfield game. But anyway, the other night, as I said, set the alarm at 2:40 a.m. and the entire time of the match was spent with me trying to close down the internet browser, reopen it, try to log in. Sometimes was getting to the homepage, was clicking on login, just keeps, going through a cycle. I would get logged in, I'd click on the live match, the black screen would come up like I'm used to, but there's no way in the world this game was loading for me. So went round and round in circles. Emailed, I was sending them a few messages on Twitter because that's how I was trying to keep up with what was actually happening in the game. As usual from Celtic TV, they're sending out all, nonsense, not proper communication at all, other than thanks to everybody for logging in. We believe we're having some experience with some users. Now, if you read the comments in response to some of those tweets, there was literally hundreds of viewers or subscribers that couldn't get logged in. And again, I'm talking probably more here for the guys that are overseas folks. So obviously back in the UK and Ireland, you can't get the pictures anyway if you get the official subscription. But for everybody outside the UK and Ireland, you can get the pictures. That's why we all try to log in. But absolutely nothing. And the thing that frustrated me more than anything was, as they usually do, they'll say, please email the web help email address, which I did about 15 minutes into the game. Didn't get any response. Did so about 15 minutes before the end of the game. Didn't get any response. We're now here Friday night, and I still haven't had any kind of acknowledgement or anything for any of the emails or any of the complaints or just any kind of update as to what the fuck Celtic TV are going to do to address this huge problem they've obviously got when there's so many subscribers trying to log in at either the same time or concurrently or whatever. Now, Pat, you work in IT. I'm not an IT guru, mate. I know bits and bobs about things. But fuck's sake, if you have got a subscription service where you've got X amount of registered subscribers, surely to fuck, you set up your infrastructure to be able to support maybe double the number of subscribers you've got logging in at the same time or being concurrent users at the same time. I'd like you to even throw a wee bit of, can you understand what these potential issues could be with Celtic TV? Because there's certainly not just me. There are hundreds of subscribers to Celtic TV, unlike Liam, who did manage to get logged in. And this is the other bizarre thing. There's no rhyme nor reason as to who got logged in, who didn't. I get the whole thing about logging in 5 minutes before the game, because there might be a lot of people trying to do that. See all this Celtic TV shit about please log in early because we'll have a lot of people logging in. I'm sorry, but it's 2:45 in the morning here. I'm not going to log in. I'm not going to set my alarm an hour before the game fucking kicks off so that I can log in just in the hope that I might be able to see the game. I pay my money like everybody else. I expect to see the game. And there's now 2 games in a row that I've not been able to see. I really feel for clubs that, again, subscribe to Celtic TV and they show them in pubs that are opening up. They've got hundreds, maybe not hundreds all the time, but tens of Celtic fans coming along, driving long distances to get to pubs to watch a game, and they can't put it on because Celtic TV are just not delivering the service that they should be delivering. And the frustrating thing is, we hear nothing from them. We don't hear any update as to what the issue is, a description of what the issue is, what they're trying to do to resolve the issue, why things are failing so badly. All we get is a tweet the next day saying, thanks to all those that subscribed and watched the game. Fuck off, Celtic TV. It is an absolute disgrace, the service you're providing to people that are paying hard cash for the service you're not providing. Pat, can you shed any light at all as to what some of the problems might be they're encountering? And if so, please fucking email them and tell them how to sort it out, because they're a shower of amateur bastards, mate, honestly.
It could be one of 1,000 things. What the strange thing was that some people got it quite seamlessly. I don't know how early you logged in, Liam, but whether it was like 10 minutes before or half an hour before it. But
I think you said 15 minutes before, Liam, didn't you?
Aye, 10, 15 minutes before tops, no more than that for sure.
Because again, it's still a ridiculous time of the morning for you.
Aye.
Yep. But no buffering or anything for you at all. So
Nope.
No. So what they could have been having issues with is what the bigger companies do when they're sort of broadcasting things like this. They don't. It's not like a direct connection straight to their server. It's not like a million people connect to their server. What they do is use a thing called CDN, and that's a lot like Amazon. They use this thing. It's content delivery. I think it's content delivery network. And what they do is they pretty much put their stream into this big, super duper fast, sort of kind of like a private network. And then what you're doing is you're tapping off that in different places around the world. So the fact that it was working in lots of places and not in other places means that they could have been having an issue with their kind of CDN provider, I guess. What the interesting thing was that it was a 525 error. Is that what I read?
Yeah.
People were getting? So I did check on that. A 525 error basically just means that. So I don't know where their stuff's hosted, right? You'd like to think it's in quotes the cloud. Everyone talks about the cloud.
Yeah,
these days,
nah. It'll be the back of the fucking Barrowlands, mate.
No, most companies that sort of size, when they're doing things like that, it would be in the cloud. So the weird thing is like that if you plan things and do things correctly, and this is why you get like Ticketmaster and these sort of companies. What they do is you pay for what you use. So you might have one server that sits there, can accommodate. They might have one server at the moment because there's hardly anyone on Celtic TV. But when it comes to game time, they can basically just rattle up. You can rattle up a server in seconds. You can just request a server and it will just basically brings up like a whole bank of them at the same time.
Mm.
And the more demand you put on it, another one comes up. More demand, another one comes up. If they're smart, that's the way they do it.
Would you have an idea, Pat, the kind of dollars or pounds that we'd be talking about for something like that you're describing there?
That I wouldn't think that would cost a lot because you're not. What costs a lot is storage. So you basically pay for everything. You pay for CPU, you pay for memory, you pay for every gigabyte of traffic that you use. You basically spec the server up the way you want it, and then you basically pay for what you use. So when you got areas of high demand, and that's like, just say there's a concert coming up, flipping U2 are coming out to Australia, and tickets go on sale tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Well, Ticketmaster will have a whole bank of servers ready to go. But then what they'll do is, as demand picks up, they might say, well, we need another 3-4 servers, and they'll just tick a box and AWS will just fire them up for them. The weird thing that 525 error is, kind of what it is you've kind of got like a middleman, so you're connecting to kind of that server in the cloud for argument's sake. But what they've then got is they've got a connection from that server in the cloud to where the actual source is coming from. So that source might be something at Celtic Park. Now that, from what I gather, the 525 error is pretty much saying is you can connect to the server in the cloud, but the server in the cloud can't connect to the bit that it's getting the information from. Now I'm no expert in it. I'm not an HTML kind of person, but that's kind of what my understanding of a 525 error is. Every HTML error has a number. If you just search, you search for it on Google yourself, HTTP 525, you'll find 1,000 articles explaining it. So when I looked at it, because I'd never really heard of a 525 error.
Well, I'd seen that for people that were logging in on laptops, that was kind of the error you were getting. If you were on your iPhone or smartphone or whatever, it was a little bit different. You'd get something else that would say something about Cloudflare or something like that. I can't even remember it. There was just something, refresh this page or try this. But, the thing, at the end of the day, you've got a lot of people that subscribe to this service because they want to try and give Celtic some money. I used to do the whole dodgy stream thing, but got to the position that I thought, you know what, I can actually afford a Celtic TV subscription now, so I'll do the right thing by Celtic. I will subscribe to this service. But see, to be honest, last season, no issues at all with it. For some reason, and I don't know, is it because a lot of these friendlies and like the Linfield game, I think that was open to subscribers in the UK, and maybe it wasn't, I can't remember, but anyway, there was issues with it.
You're gone again. But that's okay.
I was just going to say that.
I got to talk about IT on my Half the World Away Celtic podcast.
Actually, talk about that for a second. Right? Did you guys get an email for Celtic?
That's Peter Law shutting me down again, guys.
Sorry. Did you get the email? Did you get the email maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago for Celtic TV saying they were putting the price up?
Yes, they've already put the price up. Yeah.
No, the thing is, I don't know if you got the same email, but the email I got, they said they were specifically increasing the price to make the network more compatible with mobile devices. Actually, I don't know if you use an iPhone, but it mentioned specifically iOS.
Right.
Now, first of all, that's bullshit, because from what I know, iOS is extremely easy to program for this kind of thing, right? But also, if they're specifically raising the prices to make it better for mobiles, then you can't get in on your mobile, then that's a double kick in the balls, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It really is. And again, if it wasn't, 3:45 in the morning for me, I probably would have decided to grab the laptop, boot the thing up, try to get a dodgy stream. But I just thought to myself, surely God, this issue isn't going to go on for too long. They'll get it fixed, blah blah blah. But 3:45 in the morning, I wasn't in the frame of mind to do it. I ended up, I missed the entire fucking game. There was one of the Facebook pages. What one was it? Somebody had they were streaming it. They obviously get their dodgy stream up on the laptop, but they were using Facebook Live to then film that and put it out. So I managed to get a 10-minute section. It was when James Forrest did his dodgy header. I saw a little 10-minute, and at one stage there was 5,000 viewers of it. More and more people were seeing it, but I think Celtic managed to get hold of it and they shut down that stream on Facebook Live. But that's how I saw. I think I saw 10 minutes of the game, but I was too busy getting on to Celtic TV, just doing a bit of a rant to them.
Right, well, there's a couple of things in the chat room, so I'll read these out because they are
good, because I can't see them because my Microsoft Surface is letting me down as well. So please do.
It's like a fine piece of equipment, I think you said. Right, so Metal Beach guys sent this. This is from the Linfield game, right? This is from Celtic TV. Please accept my sincere apologies for the issues during the Linfield match. Prior to the match, we were aware of the increased demand. Oh, good English here. Prior to the match, we were aware of the increased demand for this match, and we increased our network to accommodate this. Up until 7:30, everything looked to be going well, but 5 minutes after this, there was a tipping point, and one of our main servers started to underperform. We quickly identified the problem and deployed a fix, but this took nearly 40 minutes to implement. We have since rebuilt our system with an improved back end, which will prevent this from happening again. In the future, should you experience any problems, oops, the page just flicked away, you can contact me directly. I didn't say who it's from, right? So then Paul, who is in Manduria, I think, because he was messaging us before Kev, says, received this
Andra, is that Paul Stewart?
I can't quite see the picture. It's really tiny on my screen, but possibly. If it is Paul, it is no. Received this last half hour from Celtic TV. Please accept our apologies for your difficulty in logging in for the match on Wednesday. Unfortunately, the nearer it got to kick off, the slower the system performed. At this point, and during the match, if anyone had tried to log on had been logged and refreshed their page, they would be put into a queue to rejoin and get the website delivered to them. For some users, this was extraordinarily long and would eventually time out and put the user back to the back of the queue. The page is refreshed here. We are overhauling our system to prevent similar occurrences in the future and allow early warning signals to allow us to react to resolve the situation before it can escalate any further.
Right, so that kind of makes sense, but why have they not communicated that to each and every single subscriber, whether they got into the game or not? Just put out a fucking mass email to every single subscriber just to tell us, because that's my biggest annoyance and frustration about the whole thing. No information shared at all. No response to emails.
They're relying on the Half the World Away Celtic podcast to get that message out there, so that's we're just their mouthpiece.
Obviously.
There you go.
We'll be sending the bastards a bill.
You are Peter Law's mouthpiece. There you go. So
do you know what? The microphone's it'll end up coming off again in a second here. But so was that in response to an email from the Rosenborg game the other night?
That looks like Paul. Yeah. And he goes.
Right, okay.
Oh, he's going to go.
What is that? No, I'm still here.
No, he's came back in. He's came back. Yeah, it's good.
I'm still here. Do you know what? Again, I just wish that they would communicate that to everybody that had issues. Not just everybody that had issues. Explain the whole fucking thing. But Pat, see what you've just described there with that first thing after the Linfield game. It sounds as if they have got their own infrastructure. They're running it themselves. They're not doing it in the fucking cloud that everybody in this under the sun does nowadays. If you've got a half ounce of sense about you and you're meant to be a big organisation or a big company.
No, they definitely use a CDN. CDN, that content delivery network, 100% they use it, because I remember when I used to have it, there used to be, no, I don't know if you still have it, but you used to be able to choose like stream 1, stream 2, and it would say, if stream 1's not working, go to stream. Yep. What they basically had is they had two different CDNs. So they would say, right, you go with Amazon, which is Akamai, I think it is, or they'd have Cloudflare. So you'd basically say, right, whether I choose stream 1 or stream 2 depends on which one I would go to. So it basically meant if Amazon were having it, well, Akamai, which is Amazon, Amazon were having issues, if I choose stream 2, that's going through another provider. And the likelihood of having two of those, because these are massive, massive networks, lots of redundancy and stuff like that. They are super fast. They're the best you can get. To basically get traffic from London to Sydney is like the fastest you can do. So they would basically have two providers. That's what your stream 1 and stream 2 was.
So I still can't So what the fuck is our problem then? I really can't get my head around it. And they need to explain it to people, because people are already saying, fuck it, give us a refund, give us some money back, we're scrubbing it. I'd rather rely on illegal streams than put all my faith. Again, tomorrow night, stupid Dafa bet bloody cup game against Sunderland. 10 o'clock, Saturday evening kick-off in Western Australia. We're going to have about a dozen people, just a dozen, but we're going to be in a pub relying on our Celtic TV stream to watch the game. Now, how's that going to pan out at 10 o'clock tomorrow night? A few guys, we've had a few drinks, because they certainly won't rock up at 5 to 10. It's a Saturday night. There'll be a few guys in. If we can't show that game, what's going to happen? It'll be fucking all hell breaks loose for a stupid game against Sunderland. But because we are saying we're showing the game, as we're allowed to do, there's nothing fucking illegal about it. We're showing it through a Celtic TV subscription in Western Australia. If this shit happens again, everybody's going to be up in fucking arms. It's there that have got off their arse to go out to watch that game. It won't be fucking Jerry from Celtic TV, the new head of, that's come in and trying to sort it out against this shit. It's all us poor bastards over here, or in the Tokyo CSC, or in the Jockstein CSC, or in Sydney CSC. It's a fucking disgrace, and they need to send out some kind of communication to sort things out. Right, I've spoken enough about this, boys. I'm still fizzing about it, you can tell. Can you hear me?
Aye.
Is my microphone
I can feel it, Kev. From the other side of the continent, I can feel it. I can feel the rage.
Honestly. And I got a text. I got a text from somebody, as I usually do, after the game, Thursday morning. So when the game finishes over here, I've got about another hour's kip, and then I need to get up for my shower and ready for work. And I got a text from one of my mates to say, what do you make of that shite? And I just thought, fucking don't even go there. The result was actually secondary to my fucking rage against Celtic TV. It was secondary. It was shocking.
Yeah, we've lost 6-1, but it doesn't matter. I didn't get to see it. So.
Oh. Right, boys. We'll move on. Let's move on, please. Green Brigade. We've got to address the elephant in the substantial room. I'll put it out to you guys first of all for your own personal thoughts on, because it is a personal thing, of course. I was very frustrated about the kind of division that it seemed to bring amongst Celtic fans over the last couple of weeks, since the kind of UEFA fines and all the rest of it, and the Celtic statement. But I'll come on to that shortly. But I'd like to, Liam, I'll come at you first of all. Your own kind of summation of the whole situation with the Green Brigade.
Right, this is going to be a bit of a lengthy rant here, boys, so brace yourselves.
Rant is the theme tonight, I think, Liam. Ranting is the theme.
Before the rant, I should say a few things. The Green Brigade, in the time that they've been around, have done a hell of a lot of work for charity, especially with the food banks and the money that they raised for the Palestinians. And for that, they deserve unreserved credit and congratulations and thanks for that.
Here.
Right. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. Now, where I have an issue with them, I mean, you know, I'll be honest, last time I was at a game at Celtic Park was like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Let's see, no, 2012, last time I was at a game, we played Barcelona. That was the last game I was at.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Green Brigade were there that night, and we had the big Tifo display, and that was fantastic. And again, credit to them. But from what I've been observing with the Green Brigade recently, it seems that as time's gone on, they've become more radical in their politics. They've become more outspoken, and I'll say arrogant in their attitude and how they deal with the club and how they deal with other supporters. They have basically, and I don't say this lightly, but a lot of their behaviour is reminiscent of the Huns, quite frankly. There is a kind of a we are the people mentality that seems to be emerging amongst some of them. This idea that, you know, that we won't compromise our politics for anyone, right? You substitute politics for culture or tradition. It could be an Orangeman talking about his walk, quite frankly, right? It's the same rhetoric, different target, different ideology, but same rhetoric. And it's pathetic, quite frankly. Now, on top of that, also, I would say that the thing with the Green Brigade is now, rightly or wrongly, they identify being a Celtic fan, rather being a supporter of Irish republicanism, as being integral to being a Celtic fan. Right, that's something that they identify as part of their ethos of being Celtic fans. Left-wing socialist progressive politics, which I happen to agree with, and Irish republicanism, which politically I agree with, but in the context of a Celtic fan, I don't think it's part of who we are. Now, just a simple bit of mathematics for you, right? Celtic was founded 1888 by a priest to help Irish immigrants who were starving and being treated terribly in Glasgow at the time, right? That was 1888. The uprising in Ireland was in 1916, by which point Celtic had already been in existence as a Scottish club with a proud Irish heritage for nearly 30 years. We are a Scottish team with Irish roots. We are not an Irish club, right? We're not an Irish club. We are not part of this, the whole IRA movement, the whole movement for Irish and Irish reunification, which again, politically I support, is not part of being a Celtic fan, right? How do you think, now I've got mates who are Celtic fans who were in the forces, right? What do you think of the British Army? These guys put their life on the line to defend their country and deserve respect for that. How do you think they feel when they go there and they're fucking unfurling blood-stained poppies, right? How do you think they feel when they go there? And some of these guys were deployed in Northern Ireland. How do you think they feel when they have guys singing support for the guys who are trying to fucking blow them up with car bombs 20 years ago? Right? Now, whatever you think of the IRA's overall goals, which again I support, I'm going to emphasise that again, terrorism is not an answer. And they were terrorists, and that needs to be acknowledged. And when you sing about them, you are singing about support for terrorism. And I'm sorry, you want to express those political views, which, again, I'm going to say again, I agree with most of them, do it in the pub, right? Celtic Park is a place where everybody goes to support Celtic. Doesn't matter if you're Catholic or Protestant, doesn't matter if you're Irish or British, doesn't matter if you're Unionist or Socialist or Separatist or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter, right? We are a club for everybody. The Green Brigade are projecting this image that we're a club only for left-wing Irish Republicans, and we're not. That might make up a large element of our support, but it's not who we are as a club, and it's bullshit, and it has to stop.
Liam, fair play, son. I agree with much of what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Disagree with other bits of what you say, but that's fine because we are adults and we can do that, and we can do that sensibly.
Yep.
You haven't even mentioned the whole pyro flares thing that goes on with the smoke and all the rest of it, because I know you brought this up on podcast previously about if anybody around that area is asthmatic, for example, it can cause real respiratory problems, and that was one of the things in the club's statement last week about the Hearts game, because I think this kind of came out the blue for a lot of fans when they linked the behaviour or the displays at the Linfield game. They linked it back to that Hearts game as well, and for me it certainly came out the blue because I didn't hear anything negative at the time of what had happened, but obviously saw the displays. But as you've mentioned in the past, Liam, that that can be a life-threatening situation for the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And the thing is with the flares as well, the thing is about the Green Brigade, I remember, like one of my most memorable things at Celtic Park, one of the Green Brigade's earliest things, right, was a game. I tell you how long ago it was. Kenny Miller scored for Celtic that day. That's how long ago this was, right? I remember the Green Brigade unfurled a magnificent banner, and it was, at that time I think Le Guen had either just left or was about to leave the Huns, and there was a big banner that says, and it was sort of the evolution of man. So it was like,
yes, yep,
get up to the man. And then at the end of it was a chimp in a Rangers scarf, and it said, La Revolution, try evolution first, right?
Yes.
I think that's one of the funniest banners I've ever seen at a football game, right? Absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we get back to doing that? It's funny. Even fans of other clubs are like, oh, nice one, that's brilliant. Why can't we do that? Why does it have to be all this shite about the IRA? It really, get back to that. Forget your pyrotechnics, which are bullshit anyway. Forget your fucking political stuff. Just do what you do best. Make big banners that the whole stadium is impressed by.
Mm-hmm.
Put on displays that all of Europe marvels at. Sing your hearts out like we know you can. And just fucking support the team. Why is that so hard to do?
No, very good, Liam. Pat, your own thoughts, mate, because I know you don't like controversy at the best of times. But what's your views on the whole Green Brigade versus Celtic versus sometimes rest of the world situation?
I'll be totally blunt with you. Right? When I saw the headline about the banner and whatever article I was looking at, and they had a picture sort of looking right into the in the Green Brigade sort of area, and I looked at them and I went, well, it must be behind those two big ones at the front. Where's this controversial banner? And I kept looking around, going, maybe it's further down in the article, trying to find what that controversial banner was. And then when I went back and went, is that it? and that's probably, I guess, maybe my ignorance, I guess, to a certain extent. But I couldn't. Yeah, I can see why people are upset with it, and I can get the whole thing. But when I looked at it, I went, "Oh, that's just shit stirring." It was nothing more than that for me. But anyway, I think the most. I've been away for a long time, as you know. I haven't been to a game since 2010. I think was the last game I went to. When I was last back there, but so it's difficult to say. But in terms of when I was going to, in fact, even going now, like for those people, I presume it's the same. But if you're going to supporters bus or you're going to the pubs before it, a big part of that is listening to Rebel songs. And I know what you're saying, Liam, is to drop that sort of stuff, but that's hard. That's like, I'm not saying it's the way I was brought up, but a big part of going to the games was sticking on Sean South and Boys of the Old Brigade and all that, and that sort of stuff.
On the bus, no problem with it.
Just like I'm just that's
time and a place. Yep, time and a place.
Right. But you think about it, right? So these guys are in a pub having a few beers, right? They're singing those songs. To try and detach yourself from being in the pub to being in a public environment with the same people, with the same thoughts, and the same frame of mind, and the same sort of buzz, I would think for me it would be pretty difficult if I was back there doing the same thing. If I'm going to go from my supporters bus and I'm with all my mates and I'm foot stomping, singing Boys of the Old Brigade, to then say,
and you're of a certain age, a certain vintage,
I'm
of
now
a certain
walking off the bus.
maturity,
I'm walking off the bus and I can't do that anymore, I would find pretty difficult. That's just me personally. And I know you're saying
still that, even at your vintage, mate.
I'm not that old. I mean, come on. Am I middle aged?
Oh,
anyway,
mate.
Around middle age.
You are a mature
would,
cheese of a person.
I just think to when I was going to the games back in the day, when I was going to the jungle and with my mates, and we'd stand and sing those songs, because in that day and age, there wasn't anywhere to express your kind of thoughts and feelings, and it wasn't really a political thing. For me, it was more I guess a kinship, basically to be with people of your own kind, and being brought up in Airdrie was fairly tough, because you couldn't we couldn't even leave the house wearing colours at that stage, because your windows would get panned in, because
you should have moved to Coatbridge, mate.
I was born on Coatbridge, unlike you, but anyway.
I was born in Coatbridge.
Yeah, I still have to see a birth certificate.
The Alexander, mate, the Alexander. Anyway, carry on, continue as you were.
Yep. So, yeah, so for me growing up, it'd been difficult for me to say, right, well, I'm detaching myself from that, because, and I'm sure these people have the same thoughts. It's just like it's part of. Okay, you're not saying you're pro-terrorist and stuff like that, but just singing a rebel song, it's just a song. It's not, you're not saying you really kind of support the IRA and stuff like that. To me, it was just a song. I mean, you might do. I mean, politically, that's kind of the way you think, and you support a united Ireland and all that sort of stuff. But you're not saying, well, because I'm singing this song, I'm supporting people getting killed, and I'm going to go out and do it. It's just, to me, it was just a song. That's why people get, they have a rage about, the Huns singing this song and that song. To me, it's just a song. I don't particularly care that much. They can sing whatever they want to me. The most utter rage that I ever got at a Celtic Rangers game was shortly after Desmond White died. Now, Desmond White, I was never really a big fan of. I thought he was a bit of a kind of arrogant, pompous kind of big guy. But in the Rangers end, I can still remember this to this day. Desmond White sucks cocks in hell was the banner that the Rangers fans put up. And at that point, that is about the most angry I think I've ever been at a Celtic Rangers game because of that. It was basically one of your own kind getting kind of with comments like that. It's like, Jesus, that's real fucking low. But the whole IRA thing, I was brought up that way. A lot of other people were brought up that way. You're going on buses, you're going to pubs before the game. That's what they're playing in the pubs. Live musicians, whether it's like a CD getting played over it. And to try and detach yourself from that, walk into the ground and just be completely, that's it, I've got to switch off into another mode, I would find pretty difficult, especially after a few jars as well. So that's one thing about it. So to me, the Green Brigade, it's like going on holiday with a family. You've got young kids, and you're going on holiday with a family that's got a really, really naughty kid. Now, fine well, you're going to go on this holiday, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, you're going to go, oh, fuck, that kid's really naughty. But your kids are going to have a fucking great time. And you can kind of ignore the fact that the kids are a wee bit naughty because, because your kids are having such a good time. It's kind of like the same with the Green Brigade. You accept they're a wee bit naughty now and again. But at the same time, you know what they're offering you. You're offering, I don't go to games, so I can't really comment. I'm just watching on TV. I can imagine what it's like when they're not there. It's a little bit dull, a bit quiet. Then all of a sudden, you bring Green Brigade in, and it's, the atmosphere, the buzz, the whole thing about it brings people to the game. So you kind of put up with the fact they're a wee bit naughty just because what they bring to it. In terms of some of the banners, I mean, no, not ideal, but these are sort of young guys. They're not, they're not sort of, super experienced like me and Kev and what you are, Liam. But they're just some of them are just young guys and just mucking about. And we would have done, like, I remember going to school, to flipping high school, with badges all over my school. We'd wear blazers at school. My blazer with like FTQ and FKB and all that sort of stuff over it.
I was St Margaret's for it.
Yeah, and the hard thing is half of our school were doing it. We would go to Airdrie Market and get, these wee badges made up. IRA, fuck the Queen and stuff like that. And it's just what you did. It's just like, and again, to say, all of a sudden, right, I'm in the ground, I can't do that. I would find it really difficult. I kind of feel for them in a roundabout way, because in the jungle, not that it didn't happen, but it would have been very hard for the police to nick everybody, if you know what I mean. And these days, everything's far more politically correct, and there's more focus on everyone and social media and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things for me is the fact that there's, and to this day that it's probably still there, but there's an agenda against Celtic, whether you agree with it or not. To me, there is an agenda
from UEFA,
but no, from
UEFA,
from a lot from Scottish. How can I put it? I guess from Scottish people in general. There's this.
Yeah.
The west of Scotland, there's
I don't think any of us would disagree with that.
Whether it's the police, whether it's the local council and stuff like that. So you have to think of what the Celtic, in terms of the actual club, to me they're in a bit of a difficult position, because the people who are holding the power and can shut down the stadium and can shut down sections of the stadium are the ones that have that agenda. And you don't necessarily agree with what they're saying, but you have to kind of adhere to it, because if you don't, they'll just shut the place down. They'll shut down a stand, they'll fine you, they'll close the standing section, whatever. They can do whatever they want. That agenda has been there from when I was a boy. It's most likely still there now. So I can see Celtic's position from it, that it's a bit difficult because they're just trying to do the right thing and stuff like that. But I think those external forces are putting that pressure on Celtic to make those decisions for them. I don't think the Green Brigade are helping themselves by doing banners like that. And I'll be honest, I said I had to look twice to actually see what was so bad about it, and then when you saw it, I went, oh yeah.
I think it's also in the context of who we were playing.
It was a shitster. It was an absolute
shitster. If that was a banner that was displayed in a game against, let's say, Motherwell, nothing would have been said about it.
I agree.
I agree. Because it was against Linfield, and because of there was a lot of focus and attention on that game because of what had happened in Belfast the week before. Because of the context of the match and the opposition we were playing, there was a lot more made of it, and it was subtle, but it wasn't subtle enough. Liam said before, the Green Brigade have done some outstanding banners, funny banners, humorous banners in the past. There was an opportunity to do something like that again. I think they got it wrong against Linfield. And Celtic, as a club, have paid the price. My take on the whole thing is that the Green Brigade, as Liam said earlier, and I think all three of us are agreeing, and I think everybody that's been outspoken against the Green Brigade would always still acknowledge that they are a fantastic part and portion of the greater Celtic support. These are the people that a lot of us were, as you've said, Pat. You went to the jungle. We're of a similar vintage, mate. We were probably standing several feet apart in the jungle back in the day that we didn't realise. I had put a post on social media when this debate was going on about the whole my relationship with what I believe the Green Brigade are now, or a lot of their membership, or people that go to the games in the Green Brigade section are now. And I do remember when I was 6, when I started going to games, I used to go with my dad and my brother, and we would go to the Celtic end. But when I got that little bit older, I was allowed to go to the jungle myself. And of course, I migrated to the very back under the, the bit I'm talking about, Pat. It was the walkway going to the camp where the cameras used to be at Celtic Park.
We used to stand. We would have been about 10, 15 metres away from where you were. We used to stand towards the left of the gantry. So pretty much. Yeah,
we were to the left as well, but pretty much right under it. So you were say 10 metres away from me, but we were more hardcore, Pat.
No,
so we were pretty much right under it.
Yeah, we were right underneath the gantry, but not right at the back. We'd have been, probably 10 metres from the back or so. So
right,
yep.
So okay, as the small crow flies in the jungle, you're still probably only about 10 metres away. We were right up the
flows, Kev. As the
fish flows, yes,
from the back. Yeah.
But anyway, as I was kind of saying, and this is where, because you can only relate to certain things that happen. So my analogy was, see if I was 16 now, I would definitely be in that Green Brigade section, but it's a different world. It's policed differently, certainly a lot more heavy than it was back in the day. So, but in the jungle, there was these, and I put this on my post because I still remember these guys' name, and I never ever knew them personally at all. But and they were maybe, I don't know, in their early to mid 20s at the time. As I said, I was about 16. So that would be what, 1980? What would that be? 1988, something around about its centenary season. And there was 2 guys in particular that led the singing. There was one guy with big thick glasses on that was called Frog or Froggy, who had the deepest voice you've ever heard in your life for singing songs. And there was another guy called Sharky. Now these 2 guys were, for all the young team, they were idolised. These were the guys that sang the songs and started the songs at the very back of the jungle, underneath the gantry, right in the middle. So that's where me and my mates would migrate to, because you kind of looked up to these. And so when I relate that to what's happening now, this is what the Green Brigade is, except it's far more organised now. But it was the same. It was that same. It got your blood going. It got the juices flowing. It was all that, as you said yourself earlier on, Pat, as well. There was a lot of IRA songs, a lot of ridiculous chants, which when I look back on them now, I think to myself, why? What was the point of even shouting that? There was no point at all. But I can understand and I can relate to where a lot of the young team in the Green Brigade are coming from. There is quite an articulate bunch in the Green Brigade, some of the more senior organisers, that they are smart people, they're clever people, they're articulate people. We read their statement. Everybody must have read their statement. It certainly wasn't written on the back of a fag packet. They're articulate people and they put their point across. The thing for me, at the end of that statement, there was a veiled threat to Celtic Football Club and potentially other fans as well, whereby the Green Brigade seem to think that they are bigger than the club themselves, or other fans that go to these games or just support Celtic, which I don't like. I don't like some of the stuff I saw on social media over the last couple of weeks. I don't agree with the way UEFA has handled the whole thing, because I think that people seem to forget that the reason Celtic made the statement that they made is because they were obviously fined by UEFA. So it's a UEFA competition we were playing in against Linfield. So we play by UEFA's rules. Whether we agree with them or not, we play by the rules. We accept the rules. If we don't accept the rules or we can't play by the rules, we should not be in the competition. Now, that goes for the club themselves, but also the fans. Whether we agree with it or not, last season against Hapoel Beersheva, there were the Palestinian flags that were shown. And again, politically, I would obviously side with that political display. I donated to the Match the Fine for Palestine, as I'm sure thousands of us did.
Yep,
but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and whether we agree with them or not, you've got to abide by the rules. Now, as I keep saying, I'm of a certain vintage that, you know what, I can accept that. I might not agree with it, but I accept it. I would love to think the hierarchy of the Green Brigade have got some kind of control over the younger members who, that 16-year-old Kevin O'Neill at the back of the jungle that would have sang IRA all the way, fuck the Queen and the UDA. You know, they can appeal to these boys that are jumped up, they're absolutely pissed out their heads on the Bucky or the Eldorado or whatever the choice brew may be over there nowadays, that you and I would have been on, Pat. I take your point about going in on the buses, maybe even in the pubs before the game, singing all the IRA tunes of the day, singing all the songs of war, all the rest of it. Outstanding, fantastic. It's the way you were raised, it's the way I was raised. I don't see anything wrong with that. In my view, there were rebel songs, there were songs for a cause. They were not sectarian songs by far. The majority are not sectarian songs. But at my vintage now, I can appreciate that there's a time and a place for that. I would never think to sing those kind of songs at a Celtic match now. For the simple fact...
Peter, can you put his microphone back on, please? Isn't he finished? Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter. That's one guy.
Sorry, guys. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, I just put on
Can
you
hear me again?
Peter Law to let you back on, and he's done it. So you're all right. You're back.
Did you hear me talk about Grace and then I get cut off? No?
Not even Grace, no.
No.
No?
You didn't get
Not
Grace,
even Grace, right, okay. I was just saying how, because there's so many songs out there, and I do think that there is a time and place for them. Celtic Park's not the place for them, in my humble opinion. But there are songs like Grace that has come onto the scene last year. I personally love that song. That's a song that I actually got engaged to my wife Michelle in Kilmainham Jail in the chapel because of that song, and it was it means a lot to me, that song. So to hear that getting sung at Celtic Park for me personally is a huge thing. It's not offensive, I don't believe, but it does talk. It's all about the Irish Rebellion and what happened, and with two particular people that were involved in it. Is that offensive to people the world over or whatever? Who knows? But see, if UEFA say it is offensive, or it could, then you say, fuck that shit. But you know what? You make the rules, we'll abide by your rules. It's the same, unfortunately, in the SPFL, or whatever it's called nowadays. There's rules we need to abide by, whether it's with pyrotechnics, whether it's with certain banners. You know what? Just play by the fucking rules. It's not difficult. We can be smart, or the Green Brigade, they've shown so many occasions they can be very smart. They can put up TIFO displays and banners and have songs that they don't offend anyone. They're a bit humorous, all the rest of it. Why don't they just go for a bit more of that? And as Liam said earlier on, which I completely 100% agree with Liam, there's no need to go down this route. There's no need to impose some of their more, let's call them controversial politics on not just the rest or the entire Celtic support, but the wider football support as well. Because you're only going to gain enemies by doing that. There's no point to it. Much as I'll agree with pretty much every single aspect of the Green Brigade's politics and everything they stand for, I personally think there's a time and a place for it, and displaying it at Celtic Park is not the place. Reason being, it breaks rules. Simple. Just don't do it.
Yep.
And that was
totally agree.
One of the, I guess, a quick summary of what I was, before you rudely cut me off, Kev, and you didn't let me finish.
Sorry,
I think part of that is that they have to learn, like, the statement I thought was fairly, although it was wordy, I didn't think it was very well constructed, personally. I think there was almost a demand and threats made.
Yeah.
Was
at the end there was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think what they have to learn is they have to adapt and they have to compromise on this, and they have to try and see it. They're asking Celtic, the club, to come right to their way of thinking. I think they have to look and see and try and see things from Celtic's perspective. Basically, don't get too big for the books.
And the majority of, and I think it is the majority of the fans. It's not just the PLC, which they love to hate. I think it is honestly the majority of the fans, from what I've been reading.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of that, there's one thing that did really irk me, and some of the comments being made about Green Brigade saying they're not really Celtic fans. If they're going to do displays like that, they're not really Celtic fans. That is total and utter
bullshit.
Nonsense. And I saw a few of those kind of comments. That is it's ridiculous.
Well, it's the same argument from the other side. Actually, it's absolute bullshit. To say they're not fans, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if one of us says, "Oh, well, you're not a true fan if you feel that way," then I'm sorry, you're acting in such a way that you're not a true Celtic fan if you express that.
Yeah.
Because, as I said before, Celtic's a club for everybody. We're allowed to disagree. And if you're saying you're not a true Celtic fan because you don't follow my point of view, then sorry, you're not a Celtic fan if you're going to act that way.
Yeah, I mean,
whether you're for or against the Green Brigade,
In the big scheme of things, I'll be honest, when I hear Rebel songs being sung at games now, I squirm a little bit. I get a bit embarrassed. Not so much embarrassed, that's the wrong way, but I do squirm a little bit thinking, and as you said, Kev, it's different days and stuff like that, and you try and, I guess I try and put myself in their, I guess, shoes and stuff like that, and I can see kind of why they do it, but, as somebody who's a bit older, I just, when I hear it, I just go, oh, no, please, no, don't go down that path. I think as you said, Kev, the things like Grace and stuff like that is a very, very clever way of doing a similar thing and expressing those same feelings, but in a far more kind of subtle way, And it's just that it was a clever. I don't know who made the choice, but it's a really clever song choice. It was never a song that I would have even put on. Like the music. I do the music for our supporters club quite often. It would never have been a song I would have put on there. Not that it wasn't a great song, but it was just, it would never have dawned on me. For me, I normally do the foot stomping kind of type of stuff. But I just thought it was a really, really clever thing. And as you said, there's loads of stuff out there in a similar vein, And if they can try and be subtle about it, the way I look at it is sometimes I think if a song's got the word IRA in it, you're on a losing bet. That's you just take that out of the equation. If there's any reference anywhere in the song to that phrase IRA or those three letters, you're going to get pilloried from basically as soon as it comes out of your mouth. Whereas if you can try and be subtle about it and express those things, Fields of Athen Rye and all those kind of things, that sort of similar vein, I reckon you're far smarter playing that sort of card than the other. So I think, again, I'll finalise one thing. I think the way Celtic have dealt with it hasn't been ideal either. I mean, you think of the people, I think they said this section get 900 seats in it. There wasn't 900 people that held up that banner. And I think it's incredibly unfair, basically tarring everyone with that same brush. That might have been the result of a dozen folk. We'll make up these banners and we'll put them up there. To ban 900, I think, is extreme. Especially when I heard stories of people not actually being at the game, and they were still banned from. They weren't allowed to get tickets for that game, the away game, the Hearts game. It just doesn't make any sense. That is incredibly I can't even see how it's legal. There's no way if that was over here, the club would be taken to court and everything. And I think, I don't know whether it just made it easier for them. I don't know what the thinking of that was, but at the very, very worst case, you could have said anyone who was actually had used their ticket to get into the game, you're banned from it, or even in that front section. But to tar everyone with the same brush, I think was, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of a few lawyers called to the club about that.
The thing is with that, sorry to interrupt that, but the reason with that, now you're right, morally, absolutely wrong, indefensible, right? The club were heavy-handed there. Legally, it's their prerogative because we're going into their house, essentially. They can set the rules however they want.
They can, but I think, as you said,
I'm not saying it's right, but that's the terms and conditions of a season ticket, It's like they can withdraw at any time for any reason,
But I think there's the two layers to it as well, though, Liam, because there's the Celtic rules and the conduct they expect in their house or their stadium. But on that occasion, for that Linfield game, it was UEFA's rules that we were subjected to as well. I mean, let's not forget, Celtic themselves received a fine because the guys were wearing training bibs that had a sponsor on them. And under UEFA rules, you're not allowed to have a training bib with a sponsor on it. So, there's a fine made, and one of the things that I said this to a couple of guys I was talking to last weekend. I'm certain that every single game that's played under the jurisdiction of UEFA, they probably have fines imposed for whatever reason. That might be to do with crowd control, it might be to do with encroaching on the fucking playing surface. It might be to do with the bibs they're wearing, all this stuff. There'll be little fines of £1,000 or $1,000 or euros here, there, and everywhere. You maybe just don't hear about them all the time because that game was against Linfield after what had happened the week before, and because it involved the Green Brigade, and because it was yet another fine that had been imposed on Celtic. And let's face it wasn't huge. The Scottish mainstream media, as they like to do, they made such a huge issue of it. We ourselves made a huge issue of it because it started as soon as Celtic made that statement. It was the whole the pro Celtic PLC board support versus the anti Celtic PLC board supporters clashed. The Green Brigade were kind of stuck in the middle, and some of the stuff I read I couldn't believe some of the stuff I was reading. Liam, you said earlier on that some of the behaviour, not just by the Green Brigade, but maybe some of the ones, and so it was the behaviour of Huns, mate. It was we love to think how they fight amongst themselves quite a lot. They've got so many different bloody factions. It's hard to know. They have so many different, infighting sort of scenarios. But as a Celtic supporter, we call ourselves the Celtic family. Now, over the last couple of weeks, that Celtic family has been divided one way or another. And again, you look back at the season we've just come out of. We won a treble. We were invincible. Everything should be so rosy in the garden, and yet here even we are talking in this podcast about some of the stuff that's happening off the pitch. It's impacting us as fans. It's bound to be having a knock-on effect to the players. We need to kind of sort it out. The Green Brigade and Celtic Football Club need to get together, talk, have that dialogue, set the ground rules, and appreciate where both sides are coming from. Come up with that common ground and just agree, and let's move on, because I still think it had an impact on possibly the performance, or just.
Oh, is he gone again?
Gone. Yep. I think Kev's not back in. I think
am I back?
Yeah, but
I'm back.
I think what's I don't know if you've seen it, but
sorry, you go, Pat.
It's just been posted. Oh, I've seen it anyway. Actually, somebody posted in the chat room. That's kind of got me thinking about it. But Celtic were fined €23,000 for that banner. As in, it's in Belfast Telegraph. Funny enough, on News Now. I clicked on. Maybe that is the end of it. Because at the moment that's dragged on. We've been fined by UEFA. Maybe that's it. Signed and sealed. Right, let's move on after that. The fact that the fines now happen.
I don't think it will be though, Pat, because again, there's been stuff like there's John Paul Taylor, who's the supporters liaison officer, and I've seen stuff as well to say that when Celtic issued that statement, they'd kind of went way over and above his head. Now he's been appointed in that role to liaise with supporters, and particularly like the CSA and the Green Brigade and people like that, or associations like that. Now for them to just come out, that was the one thing that really annoyed me, or it annoyed me because I don't know if they did it or not. For Celtic to come out and make a sweeping statement about they were closing that section and those 900 seats that were affected by people that didn't even play a part and it didn't have a clue what maybe was going on. They just like to be, at that part of the stadium. For them to just come out and ban them for 2 games without engaging with them, without having a dialogue with them, that's where I think the PLC fell down. If they didn't do that, maybe they did, but we didn't hear about it. Maybe they were told to get to or whatever. If that didn't happen, then I think the Green Brigade have got every single right to go back to him and say, what's the go here? But if that did happen, then who knows? But they've got to talk. They've got to come up with some kind of agreement, because I think, as we've all said, we love aspects of what the Green Brigade bring to Celtic Park on match days. We absolutely love it. And so I think so does everybody else. But there's other aspects of what the Green Brigade stand for, as many of us all do, and we do all agree. It's not a case of, because we disagree with what's happened in the last 2 weeks, that we don't agree with absolutely every single political aspiration that you've got, every single Irish Republican aspiration that you've got. It's not that we don't disagree with it. Some of us will, many of us don't, but there's a time and a place for it, and Celtic Park is not the time and the place for it. So just speak to Celtic, come up with a solution, and please get yourselves back to Celtic Park. I don't think I can say any more on it, boys.
No, move on. Next.
Yep, let's move on. Okay.
What's the time in Melbourne town?
20 past midnight.
How long do you want to go for, Pat?
As long as you want.
We've only got another 12 topics to talk about.
What's the longest we can do a podcast? We've got about 3 hours we can go, so yeah. I've got time remaining, 197 minutes. Let's just go for it.
I'm just about to open another bottle of wine, so I'm more than happy to keep going.
Well,
we've got another huge
pick one of the topics.
topic.
Pick one of the. Yeah, okay. Which one are you going to pick?
Right. I'm going to read out exactly what Liam had put in the run sheet here. Topic. This is out of 7 topics. This is topic number 3, and the topic is. So we might not get through them all, but the topic is cheating Huns. Should the titles be stripped? And if they are, who should get them, if anyone? Would you support a boycott of games against them to make it happen? Now, Liam, you put this one on the agenda to discuss. Mm-hmm. So let's get your own thoughts, mate, about the hashtag strip the titles.
Yes, they should be stripped. No, we should not get them. They should just be stricken from the record. Because the thing is, if they're awarded to us, there's always going to be a question of their legitimacy. Because Rangers should never have had the team on the park that they did, but the fact is the team that they did have on the park were better than us that season. It's two different issues of should that team have been on the park and should that team be better than us or not, If you take the financials out of it, they won the league those years. But the financials are part of football, and you have to play in those rules. Everybody else played by the rules. Teams like Hearts.
It's those damn rules again. It's those damn rules again. Why does there have to be rules?
Yeah. But then there's the other side of it as well, there are, about 250 local businesses that have all lost money because of Rangers going bankrupt.
True.
And this is all part of the same thing. It's all part of them believing they were invincible and that they were above the law, because for most of the last 100 years in Scotland, they have been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only in the last sort of 5 years that it's all finally caught up with them. The thing about this, which doesn't get much mention, right? Part of the 5-way agreement that the Huns entered into with the SFA and the SPL to get back into the league in the 3rd division, part of that agreement was that title stripping was off the table.
I didn't know that.
So
that actually got discussed.
Day or two, but yeah. Part of now again, this is not confirmed officially, but this is what people who have seen the 5-way agreement are saying. They're saying that it basically, more or less, it said in the terms and conditions of the 5-way agreement, title stripping would not be on the agenda.
So why even raise it as a topic if you didn't think there was a potential for it to happen?
Because life is all about the illusion of choice. Quite frankly, that's all it is.
Where does this elusive 5-way agreement reside? With the SFA or the SPFL or SPL or whatever the hell they're called?
It came from
probably in some closet somewhere under the Grand Wizard's cloak, I would imagine.
Neil Doncaster, I think, is the one that wasn't he the one that sort of created this thing as well. So, isn't there been something? Isn't Rangers tax case? I think if you look on that Twitter, they've posted something over the past few days about that as well, and I think it was along the lines of.
Keep up with it all right enough.
I was glancing through it. It must have been sitting on a train or something, and it was something along the lines of, if this document was actually signed by Neil Doncaster, then there's your smoking gun. That along those lines. This is proof that what you were trying to do. So. Yeah, I'm going back and find it. It's only been the past couple of days. I can't remember exactly when I read it, but certainly in the past couple of days it's been tweeted by him, so or her, I should say.
The other thing, sorry to interrupt. The other thing about that, which has only just came to light recently as well, the investigation into EBTs was supposed to go back to 1998, but when Lord Nimmo Smith ruled, it was from 2001 onwards. So actually, the Huns cheated for a few years more than they were actually found out for.
No,
because during that time, they signed Torrey Andre Flo, they signed a couple of other players. I think Van Bronckhorst was another one. And they used an...
Both of these went that time.
Hello, I'm back.
I think Liam went that time too. You just cut off. You're killing Liam.
It's not me, it's the Celtic PLC board. Or maybe it's the Green Brigade.
The Green Brigade. Found them.
He'll come back. Yeah. He'll come back.
Oh, here he comes.
Nah, he's gone.
Is he gone? Is that disconnected?
Nah, he's gone, but he's coming back. No, well, see that whole the whole thing about the strip of titles. Now, I'm 100% in agreement with it, but like Liam, I'm of the view that they shouldn't necessarily be awarded to us. If that was the case, because it gives too many other clubs the right to say, oh wait a minute, we could have had some kind of part in that. The only reason Celtic fans are saying that is because yous would get awarded the titles and blah blah blah. I'm a firm believer of the Paul Larkin thing about the asterisk years. I think they should be just stripped from them and then just a little asterisk next to say, this title.
Sorry, guys, I dropped it there. Sorry.
No, Liam, you're all right, mate. You're just that's Peter Lawwell doing his thing again. Or as we said, it might be the Green Brigade coming in to knock you out, mate. Who knows?
Knowing me, it's more likely to be the Chinese government. But anyway.
Oh, it could be, mate. It could be. You're far too political for him. No, I was just saying to him how I was agreeing with you about the whole definitely strip the titles, but don't award them to Celtic when we finish second. Just do the Paul Larkin asterisk years thing and say, the titles they were won by cheating, therefore they're not awarded to anybody that particular year, because there'd be too many other Scottish football fans that I don't think we should necessarily gain from their loss. I'm quite happy for them just to have their loss, and they just sit unclaimed titles because they cheated. Because I think it would just open up a huge can of worms, and it would just be seen as Celtic are just trying to get extra titles that they didn't, fit. Let's face it, we didn't win them. They were just unwon titles. So I'd be more than happy if that's what happened. But I'll be honest as well, guys. There's quite there's a few activists that I know that are really, really pursuing this and really going for it gung ho. I'm getting, and I don't know how many other Celtic fans feel this way. I'm getting fed up, and I just feel as if there's not too much we can do because of the stubbornness of the authorities that are still in place in Scottish football. I'd love to know what the hell we can do to change them or get rid of them, but we've been whinging about them and moaning about them and complaining about them since I was that 16-year-old that used to go to the jungle with the Jim Farries and all the rest of it. Nothing has changed, and I see no reason why anything will ever change while there's still a member federation or association within UEFA, which is corrupt as fuck anyway, which is a member association of FIFA, which is corrupt as fuck anyway. So how we can ever topple the shite that's going on at the SFA or the SPFL or whichever governing body you want to talk about in Scottish football, I think it's we're on a hiding to nothing, and we always will be, unless we've got a sugar daddy that's got millions that can put some lawsuit in against the bastards.
Well, I think
that's what I just feel about it. I feel a bit of a frustration. Is probably the way to summarise that.
There's some sort of crowdfunding thing being organised already, Kev, to challenge it. And this is what I was mentioning before earlier.
What's the target fund?
I don't know. I think they're trying to organise it. I'm not sure there's actually been anything being released about it, but I think it's one of those things. It's like it's what I mentioned earlier about the external forces. This is the sort of thing that that Celtic are trying to sort of live within. And let's face it, ever since we were kind of younger lads, there's always been that sort of SFA, Scottish League kind of thing, and it's pro Rangers and anti Celtic and stuff like that. And I'm sure that there's elements of that at the moment, but the way the stuff that came out the other day from Gerard Moynihan or something like that, or Gerald Moynihan, I did find it interesting that they found was it a QC or whatever it is, but with the most Fenian kind of name. Let's find a really Fenian kind of name, so therefore it'll make it look as if it's one of them, one of those left footers that made the decision. So then you kind of say that it was a Mason or anything like that. I don't know. That's just me being a bit cynical, I suppose. But the thing he came out with was the Scottish, the SPFL don't have any legal means. They can't sort of punish a club for the misdemeanor. So legally, there's no sort of mechanism for them to do it. But I don't think you can't really punish a club because they died anyway for a start. So you can't really punish them anyway because they don't exist anymore. I think it's, for me, it's a case of just basically indicating something on the records that it happened. Otherwise.
But that's the thing, Pat. But you can punish them because the titles that they won unfairly, you could strip the old club that doesn't survive anymore and doesn't exist anymore.
I'm saying this is what they're saying. They're saying they can't legally punish them. Stripping a title is that punishment. They've already got the money for it. They've probably got the trophy for it, all that sort of stuff. So can you punish them? I think that's kind of, they're saying
yes, you can
legally. No, they're saying they can't legally do it. I think what's kind of happening now is I think people are not so much accepting it, but I think they're saying, well, if they basically want a head, they want a head for the stuff that's happened, right? So you can't get Rangers because they died. You can't get David Money because, well, he's kind of fucked off and not involved in Scottish football anymore. So the next best thing is the people who basically oversaw this and turned a blind eye to it. I think that's what they're going for next. These people are going for, the RC Ogilvie guy of the world, those sort of guys, and the Doncasters and whoever. I reckon that's what they're trying to do. They're going to target them and go after them because they're the ones that were, I guess, as guilty, because they're the ones that turned the blind eye to the whole thing happening, and they were aware that basically this shit did happen. But ultimately, I think the bottom line is that people would accept. Okay, the strippers may well not be stripped, but certainly the asterisk. It's a brilliant, you kind of just want to say the asterisk gears. You still want that. I think that's what people would accept. Now, it's not to say you can't do it. Now, if anyone's interested in a similar story from an Australian perspective, and this actually came on the news today, that there's a rugby league team called the Melbourne Storm, and they basically they cheated the salary. So they have a salary cap system over here for most sports, and they cheated the salary cap system. And in that sort of phrase where they did it, they win 2 championships, and those championships were stripped. So I think it was 2007, 2009 from what I remember on the news tonight. But they got fined like $2 million on that as well. So they, same thing happened. It's in a roundabout way. It wasn't cheating the tax man, but they cheated the league financially, and they get the title stripped from them. The reason it was on the news
sounds
tonight
like a good governing body doing their job, Pat.
Well, the reason it was on the news tonight is that the team that actually won it, it was kind of it's 10 years since they win the competition, so they've kind of had their 10-year celebration, and they still did it. And even the players are on going, they're really disappointed and stuff like that, the way it happened, but they kind of accept why it happened, So it's not to say it doesn't happen in sport. It does happen in sport. Not necessarily, soccer, football, but it has happened. So I think the SFA are just, I think what they're trying to do is the people who are compromised and all this sort of stuff are still there. And what they're trying to do is deflect as much as they possibly can so that they don't get, dragged into the whole sort of sorry mess that occurred. So that's just kind of my take on it. It's not so much a Rangers thing now. They're just trying to save their own arses. RC Ogilvie. I've still got some of those tickets, Kevin. You would remember that. RC Ogilvie in the bottom right hand side of the ticket stubs for Ibrox, but
Roman Catholic Ogilvie.
Yeah, and I think from what I remember, don't quote me on this, but I think again it's been a bit cynical, but wasn't he that stuff before the year 2000, so the 98 to 2000, 2001, that was a discounted options scheme, that was the wee tax case. Wasn't Ogilvie actually at the club at that time? Wasn't he the one?
Absolutely.
So he instigated all that sort of stuff, and I reckon that's why the whole Lord Nimmo Smith stuff, I say it one more time, the Nimmo Smith kind of inquiry, I reckon was because if he was basically implicated in that, then he'd have lost his job. So let's take Campbell out of the equation here, and we'll start it when Campbell kind of left and it became somebody else's issue, just in case he does get implicated in it. So again, I'm being a bit cynical in that. I reckon that's, to me, why they didn't go back further, because at that stage Ogilvie may have been out of the picture and didn't have questions to answer. So
there's also the question why. Well, there's also the question why Peter Lawwell's resigned from the board of the SFA as well. Is it because he's sick of what's going on in there, or is it because he just doesn't want to be tied to what's going on in there?
Well, again,
we don't know yet, but we'll soon find out in the fullness of time.
cynical thing I read was that if basically the decision that they've come to is appealed, that the board that hosts the appeal is now consists of Peter Lawwell with other people. So he's now kind of moved up the chain a little bit to the point where if it is appealed in any way, shape or form, then he would be the one, not necessarily him as such, but certainly a board that he is a member of would be the one that would hear that appeal. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
Has Lawwell not walked away from the SFA?
Yeah, but he's taken on some other role now.
Within the SFA?
Within the SFA, I think, yeah.
So he's not walked away from the SFA?
He's walked away from that part of it, but he's now on the board. He's on some other higher board.
Confused.
No, I don't know the ins and outs, but again, it was some
the Grand Orange Lodge board.
The Grand
of
Orange
the
Lodge,
SFA.
yeah, that's it, yeah. Rather than just the wee lodge.
I believe he's moved from the league board to like the professional board or something like that. I can't remember the exact ins and outs of it.
Yep. So I think I don't know exactly.
I said Orange Lodge there, and then my microphone went again.
What's this Orange Lodge is doing it then?
I'm speaking about Peter Law, and my microphone goes again. What's going on?
You haven't seen Finian Hand, Kev?
Well, you see, before we move on to this marathon, the Unseen Finian Hand, before we move on, I have to say, because there was, in amongst all the despair of the last few days of being a Celtic fan after we're being in Vincent trebles and all the rest of it, can't believe we're going through this little downturn, but I had my good rant about Celtic TV earlier on. I kept checking their Twitter feed to see the date, because I hadn't seen any response to my emails. I thought maybe they'll put something out on Twitter or social media, maybe they'll put something out on Facebook, whatever. Nah, nothing. But I kept checking anyway, and one of their last tweets that I saw, it read, Celtic TV, tonight's match is now available to all subscribers on CelticFC.tv. Thanks to those who tuned in for our live coverage. #CoyBig. Right? Come on, you boys in green. Now, you can imagine this boiled my blood slightly, because they thanked everybody that tuned in. I was trying to fucking tune in, but I couldn't tune in because of their inadequate support. But anyway, I was scrolling down all the replies to this, and as I said, there was hundreds could not access it. But this particular response tickled me, and I put it on the Old Mandra CSE Facebook page because I did enjoy it. The favourite Twitter response to that Celtic TV shambles. So again, to reiterate, tonight's match is now available to all subscribers on Celtic FC TV. Thanks to those who tuned in for our live coverage. # come on you boys in green. Glasgow's green and white at North Curveboy on Twitter. His response was, and my favourite response, go fuck yourselves, you robbing cunts. Thank you.
Directing to the point.
To the point, directing to the point. There was loads of other responses before that about, can we have an explanation? I think one of mine was in there about, can you not explain this? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. Glasgow's green and white at North Curveboy. Go fuck yourselves, you robbing cunts. I thought that he posted that at 5:54 a.m. I thought it was a thing of beauty, and I took a picture of it. I was so happy about that. Anywho, moving on.
Moving on. Let's wind things up, boys. It's 20 to 1 in the morning.
Sorry.
I've got
just on that note. Sorry, just on that note, you're talking about things on social media. I had a funny one today. I was reading it was the story about the Aberdeen game last night, right? And it was STV, and most of the comments were just people, supporters, like Celtic supporters and other people saying, "Oh, I hope Aberdeen get through. Good result last night, whatever." Right? Yeah. And this one cunt who's got the fucking Union Jack as his fucking avatar, right? So you know where this is leading,
you know
right?
where you're getting straight away. Yes.
He says I hope the Scottish team gets through, but I hope the Irish team gets knocked out. Now, this kind of triggered me a wee bit, so I jump in. My first reply, but my reply was, mate, Linfield got knocked out last week. Did you not get the memo?
Well done, son. Well done, Liam.
And then this another Hun jumps in. Again, just the fucking Union Jack Bulldog avatar, right? And he's like, Linfield aren't an Irish club. And I was like, geography and common sense would disagree with you there, pal.
I love it when they try to then argue the point as if you don't get the whole thing, but really they don't get the whole thing where we're coming from.
But arguing with Huns about anything that involves a degree of intellect, it's like throwing bananas at chimps. It's not even fucking challenging, you know.
No. There was another funny thing I saw this one tonight actually, and it was from it was again on Twitter. Michael, it was Jordan at Jordan_67, and there was a little photograph attached to this, so you need to picture this in your head. But it was a friend went to Santa Ponza and bumped into a guy who got a tattoo asking for, in inverted commas, 10 in a row.
Oh, I saw this.
So the tattoo artist thought he actually said Terry Monroe. So the guy's got a poor fucking tat above his right nip. It looks like a right nip, and it says Terry Monroe. So that was the whole wee sing-song about this is how it feels to be Celtic. Champions again, you know. Brendan Rodgers is here for Terry Monroe. Terry Monroe. Do you like that, Pat?
That was nice, yeah, lovely. Good singing as well, Kev. That was really, really in tune as well.
Used to do karaoke, mate.
I thought that Billy Connolly story. I remember about the soldier in Hong Kong.
What was that?
So the soldier in Hong Kong is pissed, right? And he's at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, feeling all patriotic and Scottish, right? Fucking singing the Proclaimers on the karaoke. He's like, right, I'm going to get a tattoo to remind me how much I love Scotland. So he goes into this like local 24-hour tattoo place, and he says, right, I want you to put Scotland Forever and a thistle flower on my back, right?
Great idea.
And the wee Chinese tattoo artist is like, thistle? What's a thistle? And he's like, it's a kind of a sort of an oval bulb with like big green leaves on it and spiky bits. And he's like, all right, okay, sir, no problem, I get it, okay. So somewhere in the world now, there's a soldier who'll probably be in his 50s or 60s by now, who's got Scotland Forever and a giant pineapple on his back.
That's dreadful, Liam. Dreadful. But
topical. Conley, not me.
Topical, but dreadful.
Just thinking, actually, when you were just singing that song there, Kev, have we had a podcast since I did that video of our supporters club guys?
No, we haven't, but that was outstanding, mate. That went viral. That went viral, Sunshine. Paddy Close viralness. Retweet it, son. Retweet it. No, that was great. It was a great wee watch.
Actually, I haven't even looked to see how
I was only disappointed I couldn't see you on it.
I always way at the back. If you look at the flags at the very, very at the very, very back. Oh my god, 42,000 views. There you go. 42,000. Son. And
your fair hand, Sunshine. And everybody was able to access it, and they could log in and see it on YouTube without any access issues whatsoever.
We retweet that out for anybody that's watching. But it was basically just a video of, I guess, a time lapse thing of guys in our supporters club. So I stuck actually had two cameras. One of them wouldn't work, so a little bit of a time lapse video of just the 5-1 game. We beat the Huns. So
yes,
seems like a lifetime ago now. But
I love the way you put it together. I love the speedy up a bit and then the wee slow down a bit just before a goal. And then you get the whole atmosphere of the goal, and then they speed you up a bit until the next goal, slow down.
The weird thing was, who did we play the week before? Was it Hearts? Aberdeen or something.
Oh,
I can't quite remember.
Christ.
We played a game the week before, and we would have had double the amount in the pub that night.
All right.
It was just
It looked like
did
a
for the
good
Huns game.
crowd anyway.
That was a reasonable crowd, but the week before, my God, we must have had an extra, because we had people panicking that night the week before, saying, "Oh, like, am I definitely going to get a ticket for next week?" Because I had to make it all ticket, and it was like, "Oh, well, yeah, if you get them sort of right away, you should be fine." A few people were asking the same question. But anyway, so the game came along, and it's just weird. I mean, it's just the one the week before was on it was a Sunday night from memory. I'm sure it was Hearts we played, and then it came to the Huns game, and there was less people. I just, even now, I still can't quite figure that one out. But anyway, never mind. So anyway,
Different. Same time kickoff.
Same time kickoff. I think the Huns game I think was on a Saturday night, wasn't it? From memory. Is that right?
The last 5-1. Oh Christ, I can't remember.
Yeah, I just went back, looked at my calendar, so it was 29th. Then we played somebody the week before. Anyway, I did a similar sort of video for the Aberdeen game as well. So if you are actually just go into YouTube and search for Jockstein CSC Melbourne, I know it should come up. So there's April 29th. Yeah, we did one for the Aberdeen game, which was a bit of a laugh as well. Just the guys kind of jumping around singing, making arses of themselves. Slightly different.
Guys, I need to give. Sorry, Pat.
Go for it.
Need to give a couple of mentions here because I'm getting a bit of roast on the Mandra Celtic Supporters Club Facebook page.
Oh.
Wee Burnsy especially, he goes on about how we don't advertise this enough. What's he talking about? The reason we don't advertise it, Burnsy, is because nobody listens. So there's no real point in advertising it. So it was Paul Stewart earlier on, Pat, that you read out. Paul did get an email from Celtic TV. I've checked my emails again, Paul. Still nothing from the bastards. Wait till I check. Is my headphone going off again? No, it's still okay. No, it's still nothing from them. So Paul Stewart, shout out to him. Danny Henderson Hall, shout out to him. Brian Laughlin, shout out to him. Wee Burnsy up the Perth CSC. Burnsy, nobody listens to this apart from you. And that's about it. That's me done my wee bit there. I was getting a bit of roast.
Is that your shout out then? Is that you finished with that part then?
That's me finished with that part. I was just doing a wee bit in the background there.
Let's wind up. It's 10 to 1 in the morning. Come on. I'm Kim Cracker.
Time for your Betty bye-byes, Pat.
Betty bye-byes. I've got Auskick with the boys in the morning, so yes. Anyway.
Well, let's go through. So, Patrick, here, you've got Auskick with the boys in the morning, St Kilda.
St Kilda playing Port Adelaide in the afternoon. That's away from home in Adelaide, so I won't be going to that one. And I'll maybe try and catch a Celtic game on that's Saturday, isn't we play Sunderland? Yeah, I think Saturday.
I'm back.
So
Back.
Sporty kind of weekend. But exciting news is we booked some flights to go to America for a holiday next year. So look out, America. I'm coming over.
Remember, it's all relative, but is that exciting news?
It's exciting.
It is for your family.
It's exciting for the people of America, because when I actually come over there.
What about Huddle Down Under next
Huddle
year?
Down Under, yeah. I did. That's looming.
We need to get Liam involved.
Next July, yeah. I think it is, isn't it?
Next
Oh,
July.
Is
Liam,
it July?
it's in Sydney, mate. Yes. No, June it will be.
June. Yeah, June it is, yeah. Ironically, Liam, it's on a public holiday in the western states of Australia, or eastern states, sorry,
Eastern
for the Queen's
states.
birthday. So there you go. So it's so we actually get a day off of leave on actually all over the country, but normally in different dates for the Queen's birthday. And the ironic thing is, it's not actually on her birthday.
Has she not got two birthdays? She's got like
She's got this.
the holiday, then she's got her actual birthday. I remember reading something about that.
In that case, she's got different different birthdays in different states of Australia, so and different days.
Because she's
yes.
a cow.
She is a cow.
There's another old song we used to sing in the back of the jungle if you want to hear it.
Go on.
The Queen's a cow, the Queen's a boot, Michael Fagan Lecter.
Oh.
That was the one. Oh, yes. Great days, great days.
There's one I've been singing quite recently. I don't know if you remember that. Remember the, I think it was along the lines of, is it Dance, Dance, wherever you may be, we lost the Skull Cup at Dundee.
Skull Cup at Dundee, but Skull Cup shite.
And we don't give a fuck because we
won the league in the Scottish Cup. That's the one. That was Tommy Coyne days, Pat. That was Tommy Coyne days.
That was always one of my favourites, that one. That was...
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Let's do a cast back to our favourite days of, actually Harper and Homeboys are doing this thing about going back to games you'd love to have attended and stuff like that. We should pick ours one night. What game would you love to go back to?
That thing. But you're not allowed to choose the European Cup final.
I know. Yeah, I know. I actually know one of the games I would go back to. So we'll save that for another night, I reckon. But
we'll probably forget. Pat's here as well saying it now.
Well, there's definitely no fucking listening now. Anyway, we've been here.
Well, we might not be on for another 6 months, mate. So you might as well just say it.
Well, we still have to do a special. We have to do a special as well because remember we did get asked by a few people to do an immigration one.
Why we emigrated?
Yeah, why we kind of left the country. And now that the Liam's there and you and me in Australia, and we could probably get Colonial on as well for New Zealand and do a 10-15 minute about why we all moved and why you want to, because it might be something of interest to other people. People might be thinking about it and thinking about why we left and why you sort of live in certain parts of the world and whatever. So each to their own.
Very true.
We did remember there was a little batch of them, I think sort of 3-4
there
people.
There was. I think they were curious. There's a curious audience out there that want to know why we live where we live and what's our story and all the rest of it.
So immigration special. And is that
immigration special.
And there's another one. I'll share it with you when we're offline. But I've come up with a bit of an idea, Kev. So I'll don't hang up when the podcast finishes. I'll share it with you when it's a wee secret whether we can actually kind of pull this one off or not. I don't know, but anyway. Right. So we're now that's 136 minutes. We're going for.
Things off, son.
Right.
Right. Right. Okay. Time to.
Yep. Wind up.
Time to wind up. Wee Burnsy's happy because he's had his wee mention now, so I think he's caught up with listening in. So wee Burnsy's very happy. So that's all good.
Yep. Hello Higgs, by the way, from using Jockstein CSC. So he's joined in, saying hello in the chat room. So who else in the chat room? We've got so Paul's there. Oh geez, no Paul again. Michael.
Paul Stewart. Is it or Paul who?
It just says Paul.
Paul Stewart.
Paul via Spreaker,
maybe
if that's
Paul
his name.
Stewart.
So.
It'll be Paul via Spreaker then.
Yeah, that's his surname. So Peter Hughes is in there, Middle Beach, the Barrowfield, Shamrock CSC.
Beautiful.
So these are all sort of in the chat room. But
I can't access this because I'm a shitty Microsoft Surface that I was raving about earlier on. I've not used it for a wee while, boys, so that's why it's not playing ball tonight, unfortunately, the thing, so I'm not happy about it. It's the whole Celtic ethos thing just now. We're going through a wee tough spot just now, and it's not happening. But we'll come back bigger and stronger in about a week's time.
Just looking on Twitter, so we've got that's April 28th, Christ. Actually, nobody's tweeted us tonight. Oh, Paul did as well. Jesus, he's all over us. In the chat room.
Paul's all over the place, he's all on. Paul Stewart, again, good contingent from the Mandra CSC, will be over. Oh, this is for the Huddle Down Under, I think.
Oh, actually, that's what I was going to look at, public holidays, just in case anybody actually does want to come over in 2018, it'll be, won't it? If anyone actually does want to come over. So basically it's kind of like the poor man's version of Vegas. That's the best way I can put it.
But that's unfair on poor Sydney. Sydney, I'm sure, will put on a very good show. But it's like we're trying to do a kind of Aussie convention thing, but anybody's welcome to attend.
Yep.
And Gold Coast restarted the whole thing.
Yep.
Then we had Perth did a fantastic one as well last year, and 2018 is Sydney's turn to host it. So it's initially all about all the CSCs in Australasia, let's say, get together, but absolutely everyone and their dog is welcome. And it's Sydney City CSC's turn to host it this year, and it'll be in June 2018.
So June 9th and 10th, I just checked. So June 9th and 10th next year.
9th, 10th, and probably 11th.
11th is Monday, yep. The Queen's birthday, God bless
her.
Yep, and it starts on the Friday as well, so kind of like a full weekend. Actually, it starts on the Friday morning normally. They have sort of a golf day.
Yeah,
they're going to follow the same theme.
Yep. Yeah.
And
for
then
people flying.
People fly in, and then obviously, as Sydney's going to try and outdo Perth, they'll end up getting the Wolf Tones because Perth got Charlie and the boys, so I'm pretty certain.
And that was outstanding. Charlie and the boys were superb. And we had them on the Swan River as well on a boat.
That's right, so we did.
It was tremendous.
Yes, that's right. But yeah, so Sydney, I'll no doubt they'll try and outdo them a little bit, but Jim
no
Riley
pressure on Jim Riley from Green End. No pressure at all, Jimbo. But no, it should be great.
Green End, that's just a poor man's psych side, Kev. Really, seriously, come on.
But it's also, and Liam, honestly, mate, target this because you should come down for this because we have Nobu comes down. He came down for the Perth Huddle Down Under from the Tokyo CSC. Get yourself hitched in with a couple of the Japanese boys. Get your arse down, Liam, without a shadow of a doubt. Save your penny, sunshine, and book your.
It'll be winter time as well in Australia.
Save your yen. Save your yen.
It'll be winter time in Australia, so you get cheap flights. No excuses, Liam. So get your ass over here. He's not listening. He's probably switched off. Is he even still here? It's probably fun.
Is he even there? I think he's away, man.
I don't blame him. No wonder. Right, anyway, been here for too long. Quick shout out, Jockstein CSC. Anybody who's in Melbourne. I think we're showing the Hearts game next week from memory. So the flag day. So anybody wants to get in touch, just go into Twitter and Twitter's JSCSC Melbourne. At JSCSC Melbourne. If you're on Facebook, just search for Melbourne Celtic supporters, and you'll find us on there somewhere. So, but all good. So
are you showing the game tomorrow night, Pat? Sunderland.
Don't believe so.
It'll be midnight for you guys.
It will be, yeah. And we don't really have Celtic TV, so we kind of rely on the BN Sports and stuff like that for games. So yeah, it's just not. It's not in the pub. They can't really accommodate that for us. So so we pretty much rely on BN Sport. So it'll be the same as last time. Big games, and then the big games on TV. If anyone is in Melbourne, Pint on Punch in St Kilda. They normally show the games in the front bar if there's a game on and there's only a handful of people there. So the bigger games have got a bigger venue at the back. So yeah, but anyone's in town.
Are you back in a Pint on Punt?
Oh, did I say Pint on Punt? Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Is
it not the elephant?
Elephant wheelbarrow or something. That's just a habit. That's lack of sleep.
God bless the Pint on Punt though. I had a good night in there one day.
Yes. Anyway. That was when Celtic came out, wasn't it? We were in there that night. You and Michelle?
No. We were playing the Huns. We actually get beat by the Huns that night, but I had I had a great time in the Pint on Punt. Yes. We Shawnee looked after us well, son.
Yep.
And you, of course.
And me, of course, yeah, obviously. Yep.
But hey ho.
And actually, very, very, very last minute shout out. Not that he's listening, but Izagiri leaving. I think it's been a bit low key. That's been a bit low key.
Breaks our hearts.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but
Poor is he?
Still nothing from
Absolute Celtic stalwart. Absolute Celtic stalwart.
Yep.
And when he came in last season when me Tierney was out injured, he did an absolutely outstanding job.
Yep.
I think we all love Izzy. I don't think there's a Celtic fan doesn't love Izzy.
I say it's just a bit low key the fact he's left. From what I gather, there's not actually been anything official from Celtic either. It's all came from him, sort of on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever the hell he's posted on. So, but anyway,
it's even more pissed.
I'm just about falling asleep here, Kev. Come on, let's go.
Okay. Right, so night. God bless the old Mandra CSC. We'll be showing the game 10 o'clock. Murphy's tomorrow night. Hopefully on Celtic TV. Oh, if not, I'll be having another rantage. Another rantage. But no, 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, you cannot beat it. We'll be in a few hours beforehand. I'll be trying to set everybody's expectations as a member, because I'm no longer on the committee.
And now you've gone. Are you still there, Liam? I'm on my own. That's it. All gone. Predictions for the Rosenborg game. If you're going to come in, Kev? Quick predictions? No, I'm on my Jack Jones. Alright, everybody. I'm going to predict a draw, and then we'll go through. There you go. It's going to be one each. Someone's going to score an overhead kick. And that's about it. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Hooroo, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.